Numbers 1. On the first day of the 2nd month of the 2nd year after the Israelites had come out of the land of Egypt, the Lord spoke to Moses in the tent of meeting in the wilderness of Sinai. He said, "Take a census of the whole congregation of Israel by their clans and families, listing every man by name, one by one. You and Aaron are to number those who are 20 years of age or older by their divisions, everyone who can serve in Israel's army. And one man from each tribe, the head of each family, must be there with you. These are the names of the men who are to assist you. From the tribe of Reuben, Elizur son of Shedeur. From Simeon, Shalumiel son of Zurishaddai. From Judah, Nahshon son of Amminadab. From Issachar, Nethanel son of Zuar. From Zebulun, Eliab son of Helon. From the sons of Joseph, from Ephraim, Elishama son of Ammihud. And from Manasseh, Gamaliel son of Pedahzur. From Benjamin, Abidan son of Gideoni. From Dan, Ahiezer son of Ammishaddai. From Asher, Pagiel son of Ochran. From Gad, Eliasaph son of Duel. And from Naphtali, Ahira son of Enan. These men were appointed from the congregation. They were the leaders of the tribes of their fathers, the heads of the clans of Israel. So Moses and Aaron took these men who had been designated by name, and on the first day of the 2nd month they assembled the whole congregation and recorded their ancestry by clans and families, counting one by one the names of those 20 years of age or older, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. So Moses numbered them in the wilderness of Sinai. From the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, according to the records of their clans and families, counting one by one the names of every male 20 years of age or older who could serve in the army, those registered to the tribe of Reuben numbered 46,500. From the sons of Simeon, according to the records of their clans and families, counting one by one the names of every male 20 years of age or older who could serve in the army, those registered to the tribe of Simeon numbered 59,300. From the sons of Gad, according to the records of their clans and families, counting the names of all those 20 years of age or older who could serve in the army, those registered to the tribe of Gad numbered 45,650. From the sons of Judah, according to the records of their clans and families, counting the names of all those 20 years of age or older who could serve in the army, those registered to the tribe of Judah numbered 74,600. From the sons of Issachar, according to the records of their clans and families, counting the names of all those 20 years of age or older who could serve in the army, those registered to the tribe of Issachar numbered 54,400. From the sons of Zebulun, according to the records of their clans and families, counting the names of all those 20 years of age or older who could serve in the army, those registered to the tribe of Zebulun numbered 57,400. From the sons of Joseph, from the sons of Ephraim, according to the records of their clans and families, counting the names of all those 20 years of age or older who could serve in the army, those registered to the tribe of Ephraim numbered 40,500. And from the sons of Manasseh, according to the records of their clans and families, counting the names of all those 20 years of age or older who could serve in the army, those registered to the tribe of Manasseh numbered 32,200. From the sons of Benjamin, according to the records of their clans and families, counting the names of all those 20 years of age or older who could serve in the army, those registered to the tribe of Benjamin numbered 35,400. From the sons of Dan, according to the records of their clans and families, counting the names of all those 20 years of age or older who could serve in the army, those registered to the tribe of Dan numbered 62,700. From the sons of Asher, according to the records of their clans and families, counting the names of all those 20 years of age or older who could serve in the army. Those registered to the tribe of Asher numbered 41,500. From the sons of Naphtali, according to the records of their clans and families, counting the names of all those 20 years of age or older who could serve in the army, those registered to the tribe of Naphtali numbered 53,400. These were the men numbered by Moses and Aaron, with the assistance of the 12 leaders of Israel, each one representing his family. So all the Israelites 20 years of age or older who could serve in Israel's army were counted according to their families. And all those counted totaled 603,550. The Levites, however, were not numbered along with them by the tribe of their fathers. For the Lord had said to Moses, "Do not number the tribe of Levi in the census with the other Israelites. Instead, you are to appoint the Levites over the tabernacle of the testimony, all its furnishings, and everything in it. They shall carry the tabernacle and all its articles, care for it, and camp around it. Whenever the tabernacle is to move, the Levites are to take it down, and whenever it is to be pitched, the Levites are to set it up. Any outsider who goes near it must be put to death. The Israelites are to camp by their divisions, each man in his own camp and under his own standard. But the Levites are to camp around the tabernacle of the testimony and watch over it, so that no wrath will fall on the congregation of Israel. So the Levites are responsible for the tabernacle of the testimony. Thus the Israelites did everything just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Numbers 2. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "The Israelites are to camp around the tent of meeting at a distance from it, each man under his standard with the banners of his family. On the east side toward the sunrise, the divisions of Judah are to camp under their standard. The leader of the descendants of Judah is Nahshon, son of Amminadab, and his division numbers 74,600. The tribe of Issachar will camp next to it. The leader of the Issacharites is Nethanel, son of Zuar, and his division numbers 54,400. Next will be the tribe of Zebulun. The leader of the Zebulunites is Eliab, son of Helon, and his division numbers 57,400. The total number of men in the divisions of the camp of Judah is 186,400. They shall set out first. On the south side, the divisions of Reuben are to camp under their standard. The leader of the Reubenites is Elizur, son of Shedeur, and his division numbers 46,500. The tribe of Simeon will camp next to it. The leader of the Simeonites is Shelumiel, son of Zurishaddai, and his division numbers 59,300. Next will be the tribe of Gad. The leader of the Gadites is Eliasaph, son of Duel, and his division numbers 45,650. The total number of men in the divisions of the camp of Reuben is 151,450. They shall set out second. In the middle of the camps, the tent of meeting is to travel with the camp of the Levites. They are to set out in the order they encamped, each in his own place under his standard. On the west side, the divisions of Ephraim are to camp under their standard. The leader of the Ephraimites is Elishama, son of Ammihud, and his division numbers 40,500. The tribe of Manasseh will be next to it. The leader of the Manassites is Gamaliel, son of Pedazur, and his division numbers 32,200. Next will be the tribe of Benjamin. The leader of the Benjamites is Abidan, son of Gideoni, and his division numbers 35,400. The total number of men in the divisions of the camp of Ephraim is 108,100. They shall set out third. On the north side, the divisions of Dan are to camp under their standard. The leader of the Danites is Ahiezer, son of Ammishaddai, and his division numbers 62,700. The tribe of Asher will camp next to it. The leader of the Asherites is Pagiel, son of Ochran, and his division numbers 41,500. Next will be the tribe of Naphtali. The leader of the Naphtalites is Ahira son of Enan, and his division numbers 53,400. The total number of men in the camp of Dan is 157,600. They shall set out last under their standards. These are the Israelites numbered according to their families. The total of those counted in the camps by their divisions was 603,550. But the Levites were not counted among the other Israelites, as the Lord had commanded Moses. So the Israelites did everything the Lord commanded Moses. They camped under their standards in this way, and set out in the same way, each man with his clan and his family. Numbers 3. This is the account of Aaron and Moses at the time the Lord spoke with Moses on Mount Sinai. These are the names of the sons of Aaron: Nadab, the firstborn, then Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These were Aaron's sons, the anointed priests, who were ordained to serve as priests. Nadab and Abihu, however, died in the presence of the Lord, when they offered unauthorized fire before the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai. And since they had no sons, only Eleazar and Ithamar served as priests during the lifetime of their father Aaron. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Bring the tribe of Levi, and present them to Aaron the priest, to assist him. They are to perform duties for him and for the whole congregation before the tent of meeting, attending to the service of the tabernacle. They shall take care of all the furnishings of the tent of meeting, and fulfill obligations for the Israelites by attending to the service of the tabernacle. Assign the Levites to Aaron and his sons. They have been given exclusively to him from among the Israelites. So you shall appoint Aaron and his sons to carry out the duties of the priesthood. But any outsider who approaches the tabernacle must be put to death." Again the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Behold, I have taken the Levites from among the children of Israel, in place of every firstborn Israelite from the womb. The Levites belong to me, for all the firstborn are mine. On the day I struck down every firstborn in the land of Egypt, I consecrated to myself all the firstborn in Israel, both man and beast. They are mine. I am the Lord." Then the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, saying, "Number the Levites by their families and clans. You are to count every male a month old or more." So Moses numbered them according to the word of the Lord, as he had been commanded. These were the sons of Levi by name: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. These were the names of the sons of Gershon by their clans: Libni and Shimei. The sons of Kohath by their clans were Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uzziel. And the sons of Merari by their clans were Malai and Mushi. These were the clans of the Levites according to their families. From Gershon came the Libnite clan and the Shimeite clan. These were the Gershonite clans. The number of all the males a month old or more was 7,500. The Gershonite clans were to camp on the west, behind the tabernacle, and the leader of the families of the Gershonites was Eliasaph, son of Lael. The duties of the Gershonites at the tent of meeting were the tabernacle and tent, its covering, the curtain for the entrance to the tent of meeting, the curtains of the courtyard, the curtain for the entrance to the courtyard that surrounds the tabernacle and altar, and the cords, all the service for these items. From Kohath came the clans of the Amramites, the Izharites, the Hebronites, and the Uzzielites. These were the clans of the Kohathites. The number of all the males a month old or more was 8,600. They were responsible for the duties of the sanctuary. The clans of the Kohathites were to camp on the south side of the tabernacle, and the leader of the families of the Kohathites was Elisaphan, son of Uzziel. Their duties were the ark, the table, the lampstand, the altars, the articles of the sanctuary used with them, and the curtain, all the service for these items. The chief of the leaders of the Levites was Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest. He oversaw those responsible for the duties of the sanctuary. From Merari came the clans of the Malites and the Mushites. These were the Merarite clans. The number of all the males a month old or more was 6,200. The leader of the families of the Merarites was Zuriel, son of Abihail. They were to camp on the north side of the tabernacle. The duties assigned to the sons of Merari were the tabernacle's frames, crossbars, posts, bases, and all its equipment, all the service for these items, as well as the posts of the surrounding courtyard, with their bases, tent pegs, and ropes. Moses, Aaron, and Aaron's sons were to camp to the east of the tabernacle toward the sunrise, before the tent of meeting. They were to perform the duties of the sanctuary as a service on behalf of the Israelites. But any outsider who approached the sanctuary was to be put to death. The total number of Levites that Moses and Aaron counted by their clans at the Lord's command, including all the males a month old or more, was 22,000. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Number every firstborn male of the Israelites a month old or more, and list their names. You are to take the Levites for me, I am the Lord, in place of all the firstborn of Israel, and the livestock of the Levites in place of all the firstborn of the livestock of the Israelites." So Moses numbered all the firstborn of the Israelites as the Lord had commanded him. The total number of the firstborn males a month old or more, listed by name, was 22,273. Again the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Take the Levites in place of all the firstborn of Israel, and the livestock of the Levites in place of their livestock. The Levites belong to me. I am the Lord." To redeem the 273 firstborn Israelites who outnumber the Levites, you are to collect 5 shekels for each one, according to the sanctuary shekel of 20 gerahs. Give the money to Aaron and his sons as the redemption price for the excess among the Israelites. So Moses collected the redemption money from those in excess of the number redeemed by the Levites. He collected the money from the firstborn of the Israelites, 1,365 shekels, according to the sanctuary shekel. And Moses gave the redemption money to Aaron and his sons, in obedience to the word of the Lord, just as the Lord had commanded him. Numbers 4. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Take a census of the Kohathites among the Levites by their clans and families, men from 30 to 50 years old, everyone who is qualified to serve in the work at the tent of meeting." This service of the Kohathites at the tent of meeting regards the most holy things. Whenever the camp sets out, Aaron and his sons are to go in, take down the veil of the curtain, and cover the ark of the testimony with it. They are to place over this a covering of fine leather, spread a solid blue cloth over it, and insert its poles. Over the table of the presence they are to spread a blue cloth, and place the plates and cups on it, along with the bowls and pitchers for the drink offering. The regular bread offering is to remain on it. And they shall spread a scarlet cloth over them, cover them with fine leather, and insert the poles. They are to take a blue cloth and cover the lampstand used for light, together with its lamps, wick trimmers, and trays, as well as the jars of oil with which to supply it. Then they shall wrap it and all its utensils inside a covering of fine leather, and put it on the carrying frame. Over the gold altar they are to spread a blue cloth, cover it with fine leather, and insert the poles. They are to take all the utensils for serving in the sanctuary, place them in a blue cloth, cover them with fine leather, and put them on the carrying frame. Then they shall remove the ashes from the bronze altar, spread a purple cloth over it, and place on it all the vessels used to serve there, the fire pans, meat forks, shovels, and sprinkling bowls, all the equipment of the altar. They are to spread over it a covering of fine leather, and insert the poles. When Aaron and his sons have finished covering the holy objects and all their equipment, as soon as the camp is ready to move, the Kohathites shall come and do the carrying, but they must not touch the holy objects, or they will die. These are the transportation duties of the Kohathites regarding the tent of meeting. Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, shall oversee the oil for the light, the fragrant incense, the daily grain offering, and the anointing oil. He has oversight of the entire tabernacle and everything in it, including the holy objects and their utensils. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Do not allow the Kohathite tribal clans to be cut off from among the Levites. In order that they may live and not die when they come near the most holy things, do this for them. Aaron and his sons are to go in and assign each man his task and what he is to carry. But the Kohathites are not to go in and look at the holy objects even for a moment, or they will die." And the Lord said to Moses, "Take a census of the Gershonites as well, by their families and clans, from 30 to 50 years old, counting everyone who comes to serve in the work at the tent of meeting." This is the service of the Gershonite clans regarding work and transport. They are to carry the curtains of the tabernacle, the tent of meeting with the covering of fine leather over it, the curtains for the entrance to the tent of meeting, the curtains of the courtyard, and the curtains for the entrance at the gate of the courtyard that surrounds the tabernacle and altar, along with their ropes and all the equipment for their service. The Gershonites will do all that needs to be done with these items. All the service of the Gershonites, all their transport duties and other work, is to be done at the direction of Aaron and his sons. You are to assign to them all that they are responsible to carry. This is the service of the Gershonite clans at the tent of meeting, and their duties shall be under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. As for the sons of Merari, you are to number them by their clans and families, from 30 to 50 years old, counting everyone who comes to serve in the work of the tent of meeting. This is the duty for all their service at the tent of meeting: to carry the frames of the tabernacle with its crossbars, posts, and bases, and the posts of the surrounding courtyard with their bases, tent pegs, and ropes, including all their equipment and everything related to their use. You shall assign by name the items that they are responsible to carry. This is the service of the Merarite clans according to all their work at the tent of meeting, under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. So Moses, Aaron, and the leaders of the congregation numbered the Kohathites by their clans and families, everyone from 30 to 50 years old who came to serve in the work at the tent of meeting. And those numbered by their clans totaled 2,750. These were counted from the Kohathite clans, everyone who could serve at the tent of meeting. Moses and Aaron numbered them according to the command of the Lord through Moses. Then the Gershonites were numbered by their clans and families, everyone from 30 to 50 years old who came to serve in the work at the tent of meeting. And those numbered by their clans and families totaled 2,630. These were counted from the Gershonite clans who served at the tent of meeting, whom Moses and Aaron counted at the Lord's command. And the Merarites were numbered by their clans and families, everyone from 30 to 50 years old who came to serve in the work at the tent of meeting. The men registered by their clans numbered 3,200. These were counted from the Merarite clans, whom Moses and Aaron numbered at the Lord's command through Moses. So Moses, Aaron, and the leaders of Israel numbered by their clans and families all the Levites, from 30 to 50 years old, who came to do the work of serving and carrying the tent of meeting. And the number of men was 8,580. At the Lord's command they were numbered through Moses, and each one was assigned his work and burden, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Numbers 5. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Command the Israelites to send away from the camp anyone with a skin disease, anyone who has a bodily discharge, and anyone who is defiled by a dead body. You must send away male and female alike. Send them outside the camp, so they will not defile their camp, where I dwell among them." So the Israelites did this, sending such people outside the camp. They did it just as the Lord had instructed Moses. And the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites that when a man or woman acts unfaithfully against the Lord, by committing any sin against another, that person is guilty, and must confess the sin he has committed. He must make full restitution, add a fifth to its value, and give all this to the one he has wronged. But if the man has no relative to whom restitution can be made for the wrong, the restitution belongs to the Lord, and must be given to the priest, along with the ram of atonement, by which the atonement is made for him. Every sacred contribution the Israelites bring to the priest shall belong to him. Each man's sacred gifts are his own, but whatever he gives to the priest will belong to the priest." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and tell them that if any man's wife goes astray and is unfaithful to him by sleeping with another man, and it is concealed from her husband, and her impurity is undetected, since there is no witness against her, and she was not caught in the act, and if a feeling of jealousy comes over her husband, and he suspects his wife who has defiled herself, or if a feeling of jealousy comes over him, and he suspects her even though she has not defiled herself, then he is to bring his wife to the priest. He must also bring for her an offering of 1/10 of an ephah of barley flour. He is not to pour oil over it or put frankincense on it, because it is a grain offering for jealousy, an offering of memorial as a reminder of iniquity. The priest is to bring the wife forward and have her stand before the Lord. Then he is to take some holy water in a clay jar and put some of the dust from the tabernacle floor into the water. After the priest has the woman stand before the Lord, he is to let down her hair and place in her hands the grain offering of memorial, which is the grain offering for jealousy. The priest is to hold the bitter water that brings a curse, and he is to put the woman under oath and say to her, "If no other man has slept with you, and you have not gone astray and become defiled while under your husband's authority, may you be immune to this bitter water that brings a curse. But if you have gone astray while under your husband's authority, and have defiled yourself and lain carnally with a man other than your husband," and the priest shall have the woman swear under the oath of the curse, "then may the Lord make you an attested curse among your people, by making your thigh shrivel and your belly swell. May this water that brings a curse enter your stomach, and cause your belly to swell and your thigh to shrivel." Then the woman is to say, "Amen, Amen." And the priest shall write these curses on a scroll, and wash them off into the bitter water. He is to have the woman drink the bitter water that brings a curse, and it will enter her and cause her bitter suffering. The priest shall take from her hand the grain offering for jealousy, wave it before the Lord, and bring it to the altar. Then the priest is to take a handful of the grain offering as a memorial portion, and burn it on the altar. After that, he is to have the woman drink the water. When he has made her drink the water, if she has defiled herself and been unfaithful to her husband, then the water that brings a curse will enter her and cause bitter suffering. Her belly will swell, her thigh will shrivel, and she will become accursed among her people. But if the woman has not defiled herself and is clean, she will be unaffected and able to conceive children. This is the law of jealousy, when a wife goes astray and defiles herself while under her husband's authority, or when a feeling of jealousy comes over a husband and he suspects his wife. He is to have the woman stand before the Lord, and the priest is to apply to her this entire law. The husband will be free from guilt, but the woman shall bear her iniquity. Numbers 6. And the Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites, and tell them that if a man or woman makes a special vow, the vow of a Nazirite, to separate himself to the Lord, he is to abstain from wine and strong drink. He must not drink vinegar made from wine or strong drink, and he must not drink any grape juice, or eat fresh grapes or raisins. All the days of his separation he is not to eat anything that comes from the grapevine, not even the seeds or skins. For the entire period of his vow of separation, no razor shall pass over his head. He must be holy until the time of his separation to the Lord is complete. He must let the hair of his head grow long. Throughout the days of his separation to the Lord, he must not go near a dead body. Even if his father or mother, or brother or sister should die, he is not to defile himself, because the crown of consecration to his God is upon his head. Throughout the time of his separation, he is holy to the Lord. If someone suddenly dies in his presence and defiles his consecrated head of hair, he must shave his head on the day of his cleansing, the seventh day. On the eighth day he must bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons to the priest at the entrance to the tent of meeting. And the priest is to offer one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering, to make atonement for him, because he has sinned by being in the presence of the dead body. On that day he must consecrate his head again. He must rededicate his time of separation to the Lord and bring a year-old male lamb as a guilt offering. But the preceding days shall not be counted, because his separation was defiled. Now this is the law of the Nazarite when his time of separation is complete. He must be brought to the entrance to the tent of meeting, and he is to present an offering to the Lord of an unblemished year-old male lamb as a burnt offering, an unblemished year-old female lamb as a sin offering, and an unblemished ram as a peace offering, together with their grain offerings and drink offerings, and a basket of unleavened cakes made from fine flour mixed with oil, and unleavened wafers coated with oil. The priest is to present all these before the Lord, and make the sin offering and the burnt offering. He shall also offer the ram as a peace offering to the Lord, along with the basket of unleavened bread. And the priest is to offer the accompanying grain offering and drink offering. Then at the entrance to the tent of meeting, the Nazarite is to shave his consecrated head, take the hair, and put it on the fire under the peace offering. And the priest is to take the boiled shoulder from the ram, 1 unleavened cake from the basket, and 1 unleavened wafer, and put them into the hands of the Nazarite, who has just shaved the hair of his consecration. The priest shall then wave them as a wave offering before the Lord. This is a holy portion for the priest, in addition to the breast of the wave offering and the thigh that was presented. After that, the Nazarite may drink wine. This is the law of the Nazarite, who vows his offering to the Lord for his separation, in addition to whatever else he can afford. He must fulfill whatever vow he makes, according to the law of his separation. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron and his sons, this is how you are to bless the Israelites. Say to them, May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon you, and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance toward you, and give you peace. So they shall put my name on the Israelites, and I will bless them." Numbers 7. On the day Moses finished setting up the tabernacle, he anointed and consecrated it and all its furnishings, along with the altar and all its utensils. And the leaders of Israel, the heads of their families, presented an offering. These men were the tribal leaders who had supervised the registration. They brought as their offering before the Lord 6 covered carts and 12 oxen, an ox from each leader and a cart from every 2 leaders, and presented them before the tabernacle. And the Lord said to Moses, "Accept these gifts from them, that they may be used in the work of the tent of meeting, and give them to the Levites, to each man according to his service." So Moses took the carts and oxen and gave them to the Levites. He gave the Gershonites 2 carts and 4 oxen, as their service required, And he gave the Merarites 4 carts and 8 oxen, as their service required, all under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. But he did not give any to the Kohathites, since they were to carry on their shoulders the holy objects for which they were responsible. When the altar was anointed, the leaders approached with their offerings for its dedication, and presented them before the altar. And the Lord said to Moses, "Each day 1 leader is to present his offering for the dedication of the altar." On the first day, Nahshon, son of Amminadab, from the tribe of Judah, drew near with his offering. His offering was 1 silver platter weighing 130 shekels, and 1 silver bowl weighing 70 shekels, both according to the sanctuary shekel, and filled with fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering. 1 gold dish weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense. 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 1 male lamb a year old for a burnt offering. 1 male goat for a sin offering, and a peace offering of 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Nahshon, son of Amminadab. On the second day, Nethanel, son of Zuar, the leader of Issachar, drew near. The offering he presented was 1 silver platter weighing 130 shekels, and 1 silver bowl weighing 70 shekels, both according to the sanctuary shekel, and filled with fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering. 1 gold dish weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense. 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 1 male lamb a year old for a burnt offering. 1 male goat for a sin offering, and a peace offering of 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Nethanel, son of Zuar. On the third day, Eliab, son of Helon, the leader of the Zebulunites, drew near. His offering was 1 silver platter weighing 130 shekels, and 1 silver bowl weighing 70 shekels, both according to the sanctuary shekel, and filled with fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering. 1 gold dish weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense. 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 1 male lamb a year old for a burnt offering. 1 male goat for a sin offering, and a peace offering of 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Eliab, son of Helon. On the fourth day, Eliezer, son of Shedeur, the leader of the Reubenites, drew near. His offering was 1 silver platter weighing 130 shekels, and 1 silver bowl weighing 70 shekels, both according to the sanctuary shekel, and filled with fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering. 1 gold dish weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense. 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 1 male lamb a year old for a burnt offering. 1 male goat for a sin offering, and a peace offering of 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Eliezer, son of Shedeur. On the fifth day, Shelumiel, son of Zurishaddai, the leader of the Simeonites, drew near. His offering was 1 silver platter weighing 130 shekels, and 1 silver bowl weighing 70 shekels, both according to the sanctuary shekel, and filled with fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering. 1 gold dish weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense. 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 1 male lamb a year old for a burnt offering. 1 male goat for a sin offering, and a peace offering of 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Shelumiel, son of Zurishaddai. On the sixth day, Eliasaph, son of Duel, the leader of the Gadites, drew near. His offering was 1 silver platter weighing 130 shekels, and 1 silver bowl weighing 70 shekels, both according to the sanctuary shekel, and filled with fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering. 1 gold dish weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 1 male lamb a year old for a burnt offering, 1 male goat for a sin offering, and a peace offering of 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Eliasaph, son of Duel. On the 7th day, Elishama, son of Ammihud, the leader of the Ephraimites, drew near. His offering was 1 silver platter, weighing 130 shekels, and 1 silver bowl, weighing 70 shekels, both according to the sanctuary shekel, and filled with fine flour mixed with oil, for a grain offering, 1 gold dish, weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 1 male lamb a year old, for a burnt offering, 1 male goat for a sin offering, and a peace offering of 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Elishama, son of Ammihud. On the 8th day, Gamaliel, son of Pedazur, the leader of the Manassites, drew near. His offering was 1 silver platter, weighing 130 shekels, and 1 silver bowl, weighing 70 shekels, both according to the sanctuary shekel, and filled with fine flour mixed with oil, for a grain offering, 1 gold dish, weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 1 male lamb a year old, for a burnt offering, 1 male goat for a sin offering, and a peace offering of 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Gamaliel, son of Pedazur. On the 9th day, Abidan, son of Gideoni, the leader of the Benjamites, drew near. His offering was 1 silver platter, weighing 130 shekels, and 1 silver bowl, weighing 70 shekels, both according to the sanctuary shekel, and filled with fine flour mixed with oil, for a grain offering, 1 gold dish, weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 1 male lamb a year old, for a burnt offering, 1 male goat for a sin offering, and a peace offering of 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Abidan, son of Gideoni. On the 10th day, Ahiezer, son of Ammishaddai, the leader of the Danites, drew near. His offering was 1 silver platter, weighing 130 shekels, and 1 silver bowl, weighing 70 shekels, both according to the sanctuary shekel, and filled with fine flour mixed with oil, for a grain offering, 1 gold dish, weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 1 male lamb a year old, for a burnt offering, 1 male goat for a sin offering, and a peace offering of 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Ahiezer, son of Ammishaddai. On the 11th day, Pagiel, son of Ochran, the leader of the Asherites, drew near. His offering was 1 silver platter, weighing 130 shekels, and 1 silver bowl, weighing 70 shekels, both according to the sanctuary shekel, and filled with fine flour mixed with oil, for a grain offering, 1 gold dish, weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 1 male lamb a year old, for a burnt offering, 1 male goat for a sin offering, and a peace offering of 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Pagiel, son of Ochran. On the 12th day, Ahira, son of Enan, the leader of the Naphtalites, drew near. His offering was 1 silver platter, weighing 130 shekels, and 1 silver bowl, weighing 70 shekels, both according to the sanctuary shekel, and filled with fine flour mixed with oil, for a grain offering, 1 gold dish, weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 1 male lamb a year old for a burnt offering, 1 male goat for a sin offering, and a peace offering of 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, and 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Ahira son of Enan. So these were the offerings from the leaders of Israel for the dedication of the altar when it was anointed: 12 silver platters, 12 silver bowls, and 12 gold dishes. Each silver platter weighed 130 shekels, and each silver bowl 70 shekels. The total weight of the silver articles was 2,400 shekels, according to the sanctuary shekel. The 12 gold dishes filled with incense weighed 10 shekels each, according to the sanctuary shekel. The total weight of the gold dishes was 120 shekels. All the livestock for the burnt offering totaled 12 bulls, 12 rams, and 12 male lambs a year old, together with their grain offerings, and 12 male goats for the sin offering. All the livestock sacrificed for the peace offering totaled 24 bulls, 60 rams, 60 male goats, and 60 male lambs a year old. This was the dedication offering for the altar after it was anointed. When Moses entered the tent of meeting to speak with the Lord, he heard the voice speaking to him from between the 2 cherubim above the mercy seat on the ark of the testimony. Thus the Lord spoke to him. Numbers 8. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Speak to Aaron, and tell him, when you set up the 7 lamps, they are to light the area in front of the lampstand." And Aaron did so. He set up the lamps facing toward the front of the lampstand, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. This is how the lampstand was constructed. It was made of hammered gold, from its base to its blossoms, fashioned according to the pattern the Lord had shown Moses. Again the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Take the Levites from among the Israelites, and make them ceremonially clean. This is what you must do to cleanse them. Sprinkle them with the water of purification. Have them shave their whole bodies, and wash their clothes, and so purify themselves. Then have them take a young bull with its grain offering of fine flour mixed with oil, and you are to take a second young bull for a sin offering. Bring the Levites before the tent of meeting, and assemble the whole congregation of Israel. You are to present the Levites before the Lord, and have the Israelites lay their hands upon them. Aaron is to present the Levites before the Lord as a wave offering from the sons of Israel, so that they may perform the service of the Lord. And the Levites are to lay their hands on the heads of the bulls, and offer to the Lord one as a sin offering, and the other as a burnt offering, to make atonement for the Levites. You are to have the Levites stand before Aaron and his sons, and then present them before the Lord as a wave offering. In this way you shall separate the Levites from the rest of the Israelites, and the Levites will belong to me. After you have cleansed them and presented them as a wave offering, they may come to serve at the tent of meeting. For the Levites have been wholly given to me from among the sons of Israel. I have taken them for myself in place of all who come first from the womb, the firstborn of all the sons of Israel. For every firstborn male in Israel is mine, both man and beast. I set them apart for myself on the day I struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt. But I have taken the Levites in place of all the firstborn among the sons of Israel. And I have given the Levites as a gift to Aaron and his sons from among the Israelites, to perform the service for the Israelites at the tent of meeting, and to make atonement on their behalf, so that no plague will come against the Israelites when they approach the sanctuary." So Moses, Aaron, and the whole congregation of Israel did with the Levites everything that the Lord had commanded Moses they should do. The Levites purified themselves and washed their clothes, and Aaron presented them as a wave offering before the Lord. Aaron also made atonement for them to cleanse them. After that, the Levites came to perform their service at the tent of meeting, in the presence of Aaron and his sons. Thus they did with the Levites, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. And the Lord said to Moses, "This applies to the Levites. Men 25 years of age or older shall enter to perform the service in the work at the tent of meeting, but at the age of 50 they must retire from performing the work and no longer serve. After that, they may assist their brothers in fulfilling their duties at the tent of meeting, but they themselves are not to do the work. This is how you are to assign responsibilities to the Levites." Numbers 9. In the first month of the 2nd year after Israel had come out of the land of Egypt, the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai. The Israelites are to observe the Passover at its appointed time. You are to observe it at the appointed time, at twilight on the 14th day of this month, in accordance with its statutes and ordinances. So Moses told the Israelites to observe the Passover, and they did so in the wilderness of Sinai, at twilight on the 14th day of the first month. The Israelites did everything just as the Lord had commanded Moses. But there were some men who were unclean due to a dead body, so they could not observe the Passover on that day. And they came before Moses and Aaron that same day, and said to Moses, "We are unclean because of a dead body. But why should we be excluded from presenting the Lord's offering with the other Israelites at the appointed time?" "Wait here until I find out what the Lord commands concerning you," Moses replied. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites, when any one of you or your descendants is unclean because of a dead body, or is away on a journey, he may still observe the Passover to the Lord. Such people are to observe it at twilight on the 14th day of the 2nd month. They are to eat the lamb, together with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They may not leave any of it until morning, or break any of its bones. They must observe the Passover according to all its statutes. But if a man who is ceremonially clean and is not on a journey still fails to observe the Passover, he must be cut off from his people, because he did not present the Lord's offering at its appointed time. That man will bear the consequences of his sin. If a foreigner dwelling among you wants to observe the Passover to the Lord, he is to do so according to the Passover statute and its ordinances. You are to apply the same statute to both the foreigner and the native of the land. On the day that the tabernacle, the tent of the testimony, was set up, the cloud covered it, and appeared like fire above the tabernacle from evening until morning. It remained that way continually. The cloud would cover the tabernacle by day, and at night it would appear like fire. Whenever the cloud was lifted from above the tent, the Israelites would set out, and wherever the cloud settled, there the Israelites would camp. At the Lord's command, the Israelites set out, and at the Lord's command they camped. As long as the cloud remained over the tabernacle, they remained encamped. Even when the cloud lingered over the tabernacle for many days, the Israelites kept the Lord's charge and did not set out. Sometimes the cloud remained over the tabernacle for only a few days, and they would camp at the Lord's command and set out at the Lord's command. Sometimes the cloud remained only from evening until morning, and when it lifted in the morning, they would set out. Whether it was by day or by night, when the cloud was taken up, they would set out. Whether the cloud lingered for 2 days, a month, or longer, the Israelites camped and did not set out as long as the cloud remained over the tabernacle. But when it was lifted, they would set out. They camped at the Lord's command, and they set out at the Lord's command. They carried out the Lord's charge according to his command through Moses. Numbers 10. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Make 2 trumpets of hammered silver to be used for calling the congregation and for having the camps set out. When both are sounded, The whole congregation is to assemble before you at the entrance to the tent of meeting. But if only one is sounded, then the leaders, the heads of the clans of Israel, are to gather before you. When you sound short blasts, the camps that lie on the east side are to set out. When you sound the short blasts a second time, the camps that lie on the south side are to set out. The blasts are to signal them to set out. To convene the assembly, you are to sound long blasts, not short ones. The sons of Aaron, the priests, are to sound the trumpets. This shall be a permanent statute for you and the generations to come. When you enter into battle in your land against an adversary who attacks you, sound short blasts on the trumpets, and you will be remembered before the Lord your God, and saved from your enemies. And on your joyous occasions, your appointed feasts, and the beginning of each month, you are to blow the trumpets over your burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, to serve as a reminder for you before your God. I am the Lord your God. On the 20th day of the 2nd month of the 2nd year, the cloud was lifted from above the tabernacle of the testimony, and the Israelites set out from the wilderness of Sinai, traveling from place to place until the cloud settled in the wilderness of Paran. They set out this first time according to the Lord's command through Moses. First, the divisions of the camp of Judah set out under their standard, with Nahshon, son of Amminadab, in command. Nethanel, son of Zuar, was over the division of the tribe of Issachar, and Eliab, son of Helon, was over the division of the tribe of Zebulun. Then the tabernacle was taken down, and the Gershonites and the Merarites set out, transporting it. Then the divisions of the camp of Reuben set out under their standard, with Elizur, son of Shedeur, in command. Shelumiel, son of Zurishaddai, was over the division of the tribe of Simeon, and Eliasaph, son of Duel, was over the division of the tribe of Gad. Then the Kohathites set out, transporting the holy objects. The tabernacle was to be set up before their arrival. Next, the divisions of the camp of Ephraim set out under their standard, with Elishama, son of Ammihud, in command. Gamaliel, son of Pedazur, was over the division of the tribe of Manasseh, and Abidan, son of Gideoni, was over the division of the tribe of Benjamin. Finally, the divisions of the camp of Dan set out under their standard, serving as the rear guard for all units, with Ahiezer, son of Ammishaddai, in command. Pagiel, son of Ochran, was over the division of the tribe of Asher, and Ahira, son of Enan, was over the division of the tribe of Naphtali. This was the order of march for the Israelite divisions as they set out. Then Moses said to Hobab, the son of Moses' father-in-law Reuel the Midianite, "We are setting out for the place of which the Lord said, 'I will give it to you.' Come with us, and we will treat you well, for the Lord has promised good things to Israel." "I will not go," Hobab replied. "Instead, I am going back to my own land and my own people." "Please do not leave us," Moses said, "since you know where we should camp in the wilderness, and you can serve as our eyes. If you come with us, we will share with you whatever good things the Lord gives us." So they set out on a 3-day journey from the mountain of the Lord, with the ark of the covenant of the Lord traveling ahead of them for those 3 days, to seek a resting place for them. And the cloud of the Lord was over them by day, when they set out from the camp. Whenever the ark set out, Moses would say, "Rise up, O Lord, may your enemies be scattered, may those who hate you flee before you." And when it came to rest, he would say, "Return, O Lord, to the countless thousands of Israel." Numbers 11. Soon the people began to complain about their hardship in the hearing of the Lord, and when he heard them, his anger was kindled, and fire from the Lord blazed among them, and consumed the outskirts of the camp. And the people cried out to Moses, and he prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So that place was called Taberah, because the fire of the Lord had burned among them. Meanwhile the rabble among them had a strong craving for other food, and again the Israelites wept and said, "Who will feed us meat? We remember the fish we ate freely in Egypt, along with the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. But now our appetite is gone. There is nothing to see but this manna." Now the manna resembled coriander seed, and its appearance was like that of gum resin. The people walked around and gathered it, ground it on a hand mill or crushed it in a mortar, then boiled it in a cooking pot or shaped it into cakes. It tasted like pastry baked with fine oil. When the dew fell on the camp at night, the manna would fall with it. Then Moses heard the people of family after family weeping at the entrances to their tents. And the anger of the Lord was kindled greatly, and Moses was also displeased. So Moses asked the Lord, "Why have you brought this trouble on your servant? Why have I not found favor in your sight, that you have laid upon me the burden of all these people? Did I conceive all these people? Did I give them birth, so that you should tell me, 'Carry them in your bosom, as a nurse carries an infant, to the land that you swore to give their fathers?' Where can I get meat for all these people? For they keep crying out to me, 'Give us meat to eat.' I cannot carry all these people by myself. It is too burdensome for me. If this is how you are going to treat me, please kill me right now, if I have found favor in your eyes, and let me not see my own wretchedness." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Bring me 70 of the elders of Israel, known to you as leaders and officers of the people. Bring them to the tent of meeting, and have them stand there with you. And I will come down and speak with you there, and I will take some of the Spirit that is on you, and put that Spirit on them. They will help you bear the burden of the people, so that you do not have to bear it by yourself. And say to the people, 'Consecrate yourselves for tomorrow, and you will eat meat, because you have cried out in the hearing of the Lord, saying, Who will feed us meat? For we were better off in Egypt.' Therefore the Lord will give you meat, and you will eat. You will eat it not for 1 or 2 days, nor for 5 or 10 or 20 days, but for a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils and makes you nauseous, because you have rejected the Lord who is among you, and have cried out before him, saying, 'Why did we ever leave Egypt?' But Moses replied, 'Here I am among 600,000 men on foot, yet you say, I will give them meat, and they will eat for a month. If all our flocks and herds were slaughtered for them, would they have enough? Or if all the fish in the sea were caught for them, would they have enough?' The Lord answered Moses, 'Is the Lord's arm too short? Now you will see whether or not my word will come to pass.' So Moses went out and relayed to the people the words of the Lord, and he gathered 70 of the elders of the people and had them stand around the tent. Then the Lord came down in the cloud and spoke to him, and he took some of the Spirit that was on Moses and placed that Spirit on the 70 elders. As the Spirit rested on them, they prophesied, but they never did so again. 2 men, however, had remained in the camp, one named Eldad and the other Medad, and the Spirit rested on them. They were among those listed, but they had not gone out to the tent, and they prophesied in the camp. A young man ran and reported to Moses, 'Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp.' Joshua, son of Nun, the attendant to Moses since youth, spoke up and said, 'Moses, my lord, stop them.' But Moses replied, 'Are you jealous on my account? I wish that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would place his Spirit on them.' Then Moses returned to the camp along with the elders of Israel. Now a wind sent by the Lord came up, drove in quail from the sea, and brought them near the camp, about 2 cubits above the surface of the ground, for a day's journey in every direction around the camp. All that day and night, and all the next day, the people stayed up gathering the quail. No one gathered less than 10 homers, and they spread them out all around the camp. But while the meat was still between their teeth, before it was chewed, the anger of the Lord burned against the people, and the Lord struck them with a severe plague. So they called that place Kibroth-hattaavah, because there they buried the people who had craved other food. From Kibroth-hattaavah the people moved on to Hazeroth, where they remained for some time. Numbers 12. Then Miriam and Aaron criticized Moses because of the Cushite woman he had married, for he had taken a Cushite wife. "Does the Lord speak only through Moses?" they said. "Does he not also speak through us?" And the Lord heard this. Now Moses was a very humble man, more so than any man on the face of the earth. And suddenly the Lord said to Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, "You three come out to the tent of meeting." So the three went out, and the Lord came down in a pillar of cloud, stood at the entrance to the tent, and summoned Aaron and Miriam. When both of them had stepped forward, he said, "Hear now my words. If there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will reveal myself to him in a vision. I will speak to him in a dream. But this is not so with my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. I speak with him face to face, clearly, and not in riddles. He sees the form of the Lord. Why then were you unafraid to speak against my servant Moses?" So the anger of the Lord burned against them, and he departed. As the cloud lifted from above the tent, suddenly Miriam became leprous, white as snow. Aaron turned toward her, saw that she was leprous, and said to Moses, "My Lord, please do not hold against us this sin we have so foolishly committed. Please do not let her be like a stillborn infant whose flesh is half consumed when he comes out of his mother's womb." So Moses cried out to the Lord, "O God, please heal her." But the Lord answered Moses, "If her father had but spit in her face, would she not have been in disgrace for 7 days? Let her be confined outside the camp for 7 days. After that, she may be brought back in." So Miriam was confined outside the camp for 7 days, and the people did not move on until she was brought in again. After that, the people set out from Hazeroth and camped in the wilderness of Paran. Numbers 13. And the Lord said to Moses, "Send out for yourself men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites. From each of their fathers' tribes send one man who is a leader among them." So at the consent of the Lord, Moses sent them out from the wilderness of Paran. All the men were leaders of the Israelites, and these were their names. From the tribe of Reuben, Shammua, son of Zachar. From the tribe of Simeon, Shaphat, son of Hori. From the tribe of Judah, Caleb, son of Jephunneh. From the tribe of Issachar, Igal, son of Joseph. From the tribe of Ephraim, Hoshea, son of Nun. From the tribe of Benjamin, Paltai, son of Raphu. From the tribe of Zebulun, Gadiel, son of Sodai. From the tribe of Manasseh, a tribe of Joseph, Gadai, son of Susai. From the tribe of Dan, Amiel, son of Gamalai. From the tribe of Asher, Sethur, son of Michael. From the tribe of Naphtali, Nabai, son of Vophsi. And from the tribe of Gad, Geuel, son of Machai. These were the names of the men Moses sent to spy out the land. And Moses gave to Hoshea, son of Nun, the name Joshua. When Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, he told them, "Go up through the Negev and into the hill country. See what the land is like, and whether its people are strong or weak, few or many. Is the land where they live good or bad? Are the cities where they dwell open camps or fortifications? Is the soil fertile or unproductive? Are there trees in it or not? Be courageous, and bring back some of the fruit of the land." It was the season for the first ripe grapes. So they went up and spied out the land, from the wilderness of Zin as far as Rehob, toward Lebo-Hamath. They went up through the Negev, and came to Hebron, where Ahiman, Sheshai, and Talmai, the descendants of Anak, dwelled. It had been built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. When they came to the valley of Eshcol, They cut down a branch with a single cluster of grapes, which they carried on a pole between 2 men. They also took some pomegranates and figs. Because of the cluster of grapes the Israelites cut there, that place was called the Valley of Eshcol. After 40 days the men returned from spying out the land, and they went back to Moses, Aaron, and the whole congregation of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. They brought back a report for the whole congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. And they gave this account to Moses: "We went into the land to which you sent us, and indeed it is flowing with milk and honey. Here is some of its fruit. Nevertheless, the people living in the land are strong, and the cities are large and fortified. We even saw the descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites live in the land of the Negev. The Hittites, Jebusites, and Amorites live in the hill country, and the Canaanites live by the sea and along the Jordan." Then Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, "We must go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly conquer it." But the men who had gone up with him replied, "We cannot go up against the people, for they are stronger than we are." So they gave the Israelites a bad report about the land that they had spied out. "The land we explored devours its inhabitants, and all the people we saw there are great in stature. We even saw the Nephilim there, the descendants of Anak that come from the Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own sight, and we must have seemed the same to them." Numbers 14. Then the whole congregation lifted up their voices and cried out, and that night the people wept. All the Israelites grumbled against Moses and Aaron, and the whole congregation said to them, "If only we had died in the land of Egypt, or if only we had died in this wilderness. Why is the Lord bringing us into this land to fall by the sword? Our wives and children will become plunder. Would it not be better for us to go back to Egypt?" So they said to one another, "Let us appoint a leader and return to Egypt." Then Moses and Aaron fell face down before the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel. Joshua son of Nun and Caleb son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their clothes and said to the whole congregation of Israel, "The land we passed through and explored is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, he will bring us into this land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and he will give it to us. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not be afraid of the people of the land, for they will be like bread for us. Their protection has been removed, and the Lord is with us. Do not be afraid of them." But the whole congregation threatened to stone Joshua and Caleb. Then the glory of the Lord appeared to all the Israelites at the tent of meeting. And the Lord said to Moses, "How long will this people treat me with contempt? How long will they refuse to believe in me, despite all the signs I have performed among them? I will strike them with a plague and destroy them, and I will make you into a nation greater and mightier than they are." But Moses said to the Lord, "The Egyptians will hear of it, for by your strength you brought this people from among them, and they will tell it to the inhabitants of this land. They have already heard that you, O Lord, are in the midst of this people, that you, O Lord, have been seen face to face, that your cloud stands over them, and that you go before them in a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. If you kill this people as one man, the nations who have heard of your fame will say, 'Because the Lord was unable to bring this people into the land he swore to give them, he has slaughtered them in the wilderness.' So now I pray, may the power of my Lord be magnified, just as you have declared. The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in loving devotion, forgiving iniquity and transgression. Yet he will by no means leave the guilty unpunished. He will visit the iniquity of the fathers upon their children to the 3rd and 4th generation. Pardon, I pray, the iniquity of this people, in keeping with the greatness of your loving devotion, just as you have forgiven them ever since they left Egypt." I have pardoned them as you requested, the Lord replied. Yet as surely as I live, and as surely as the whole earth is filled with the glory of the Lord, not one of the men who have seen my glory and the signs I performed in Egypt and in the wilderness, yet have tested me and disobeyed me these 10 times, not one will ever see the land that I swore to give their fathers. None of those who have treated me with contempt will see it. But because my servant Caleb has a different spirit, and has followed me wholeheartedly, I will bring him into the land he has entered, and his descendants will inherit it. Now since the Amalekites and Canaanites are living in the valleys, turn back tomorrow, and head for the wilderness along the route to the Red Sea. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, How long will this wicked congregation grumble against me? I have heard the complaints that the Israelites are making against me. So tell them, As surely as I live, declares the Lord, I will do to you exactly as I heard you say. Your bodies will fall in this wilderness, all who were numbered in the census, everyone 20 years of age or older, because you have grumbled against me. Surely none of you will enter the land in which I swore to settle you, except Caleb son of Jephunneh and Joshua son of Nun. But I will bring your children, whom you said would become plunder, into the land you have rejected, and they will enjoy it. As for you, however, your bodies will fall in this wilderness. Your children will be shepherds in the wilderness for 40 years, and they will suffer for your unfaithfulness until the last of your bodies lies in the wilderness. In keeping with the 40 days you spied out the land, you shall bear your guilt 40 years, a year for each day, and you will experience my alienation. I, the Lord, have spoken, and I will surely do these things to this entire wicked congregation which has conspired against me. They will meet their end in the wilderness, and there they will die. So the men Moses had sent to spy out the land, who had returned and made the whole congregation grumble against him by bringing out a bad report about the land, those men who had brought out the bad report about the land were struck down by a plague before the Lord. Of those men who had gone to spy out the land, only Joshua son of Nun and Caleb son of Jephunneh remained alive. And when Moses relayed these words to all the Israelites, the people mourned bitterly. Early the next morning they got up and went up toward the ridge of the hill country. We have indeed sinned, they said, but we will go to the place the Lord has promised. But Moses said, Why are you transgressing the commandment of the Lord? This will not succeed. Do not go up, lest you be struck down by your enemies, because the Lord is not among you. For there the Amalekites and Canaanites will face you, and you will fall by the sword. Because you have turned away from the Lord, he will not be with you. But they dared to go up to the ridge of the hill country, though neither Moses nor the ark of the covenant of the Lord moved from the camp. Then the Amalekites and Canaanites who lived in that part of the hill country came down, attacked them, and routed them all the way to Hormah. Numbers 15. Then the Lord said to Moses, Speak to the Israelites, and tell them, After you enter the land that I am giving you as a home, and you present an offering made by fire to the Lord from the herd or flock, to produce a pleasing aroma to the Lord, either a burnt offering or a sacrifice, for a special vow or free will offering or appointed feast. Then the one presenting his offering to the Lord shall also present a grain offering of 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with 1/4 hin of olive oil. With the burnt offering or sacrifice of each lamb, you are to prepare 1/4 hin of wine as a drink offering. With a ram, you are to prepare a grain offering of 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with 1/3 of a hin of olive oil, and 1/3 of a hin of wine as a drink offering, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. When you prepare a young bull as a burnt offering or sacrifice to fulfill a vow or as a peace offering to the Lord, present with the bull a grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with half a hin of olive oil. Also, present half a hin of wine as a drink offering. It is an offering made by fire, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. This is to be done for each bull, ram, lamb, or goat. This is how you must prepare each one, no matter how many. Everyone who is native-born shall prepare these things in this way, when he presents an offering made by fire as a pleasing aroma to the Lord. And for the generations to come, if a foreigner residing with you or someone else among you wants to prepare an offering made by fire as a pleasing aroma to the Lord, he is to do exactly as you do. The assembly is to have the same statute both for you and for the foreign resident. It is a permanent statute for the generations to come. You and the foreigner shall be the same before the Lord. The same law and the same ordinance will apply both to you and to the foreigner residing with you. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites, and tell them, when you enter the land to which I am bringing you, and you eat the food of the land, you shall lift up an offering to the Lord. From the first of your dough you are to lift up a cake as a contribution. Offer it just like an offering from the threshing floor. Throughout your generations you are to give the Lord an offering from the first of your dough." Now if you stray unintentionally and do not obey all these commandments that the Lord has spoken to Moses, all that the Lord has commanded you through Moses from the day the Lord gave them, and continuing through the generations to come, and if it was done unintentionally, without the knowledge of the congregation, then the whole congregation is to prepare one young bull as a burnt offering, a pleasing aroma to the Lord, with its grain offering and drink offering according to the regulation, and one male goat as a sin offering. The priest is to make atonement for the whole congregation of Israel, so that they may be forgiven. For the sin was unintentional, and they have brought to the Lord an offering made by fire and a sin offering, presented before the Lord for their unintentional sin. Then the whole congregation of Israel and the foreigners residing among them will be forgiven, since it happened to all the people unintentionally. Also, if one person sins unintentionally, he is to present a year-old female goat as a sin offering, and the priest shall make atonement before the Lord on behalf of the person who erred by sinning unintentionally. And when atonement has been made for him, he will be forgiven. You shall have the same law for the one who acts in error, whether he is a native-born Israelite or a foreigner residing among you. But the person who sins defiantly, whether a native or foreigner, blasphemes the Lord. That person shall be cut off from among his people. He shall certainly be cut off, because he has despised the word of the Lord and broken his commandment. His guilt remains on him. While the Israelites were in the wilderness, a man was found gathering wood on the Sabbath day. Those who found the man gathering wood brought him to Moses, Aaron, and the whole congregation. And because it had not been declared what should be done to him, they placed him in custody. And the Lord said to Moses, "The man must surely be put to death. The whole congregation is to stone him outside the camp." So the whole congregation took the man outside the camp and stoned him to death, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Later the Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites, and tell them that throughout the generations to come they are to make for themselves tassels for the corners of their garments, with a blue cord on each tassel. These will serve as tassels for you to look at, so that you may remember all the commandments of the Lord, that you may obey them, and not prostitute yourselves by following your own heart and your own eyes. Then you will remember and obey all my commandments, and you will be holy to your God. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God." Numbers 16. Now Korah, son of Ishar, the son of Kohath, son of Levi, along with some Reubenites, Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab, and On, son of Peleth, conducted a rebellion against Moses, along with 250 men of Israel renowned as leaders of the congregation and representatives in the assembly. They came together against Moses and Aaron, and told them, "You have taken too much upon yourselves. For everyone in the entire congregation is holy, and the Lord is in their midst. Why then do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord?" When Moses heard this, he fell face down. Then he said to Korah and all his followers, "Tomorrow morning the Lord will reveal who belongs to him, and who is holy. And he will bring that person near to himself. The one he chooses, he will bring near to himself. You, Korah, and all your followers are to do as follows. Take censers, and tomorrow you are to place fire and incense in them in the presence of the Lord. Then the man the Lord chooses will be the one who is holy. It is you, sons of Levi, who have taken too much upon yourselves." Moses also said to Korah, "Now listen, you sons of Levi. Is it not enough for you that the God of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel and brought you near to himself to perform the work at the Lord's tabernacle, and to stand before the congregation to minister to them? He has brought you near, you and all your fellow Levites, but you are seeking the priesthood as well. Therefore it is you and all your followers who have conspired against the Lord. As for Aaron, who is he that you should grumble against him?" Then Moses summoned Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab. But they said, "We will not come. Is it not enough that you have brought us up out of a land flowing with milk and honey, to kill us in the wilderness? Must you also appoint yourself as ruler over us? Moreover, you have not brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, or given us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you gouge out the eyes of these men? No, we will not come." Then Moses became very angry, and said to the Lord, "Do not regard their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them, or mistreated a single one of them." And Moses said to Korah, "You and all your followers are to appear before the Lord tomorrow, you and they and Aaron. Each man is to take his censer, place incense in it, and present it before the Lord, 250 censers. You and Aaron are to present your censers as well." So each man took his censer, put fire and incense in it, and stood with Moses and Aaron at the entrance to the tent of meeting. When Korah had gathered his whole assembly against them at the entrance to the tent of meeting, the glory of the Lord appeared to the whole congregation. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Separate yourselves from this congregation, so that I may consume them in an instant." But Moses and Aaron fell face down, and said, "O God, the God of the spirits of all flesh, when one man sins, will you be angry with the whole congregation?" Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the congregation to move away from the dwellings of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram." So Moses got up and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he warned the congregation, "Move away now from the tents of these wicked men. Do not touch anything that belongs to them, or you will be swept away because of all their sins." So they moved away from the dwellings of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Meanwhile, Dathan and Abiram had come out, and stood at the entrances to their tents, with their wives and children and infants. Then Moses said, "This is how you will know that the Lord has sent me to do all these things, for it was not my own doing. If these men die a natural death, or if they suffer the fate of all men, then the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord brings about something unprecedented, and the earth opens its mouth and swallows them and all that belongs to them, so that they go down alive into Sheol, then you will know that these men have treated the Lord with contempt." As soon as Moses had finished saying all this, the ground beneath them split open, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them and their households, all Korah's men and all their possessions. They went down alive into Sheol with all they owned. The earth closed over them, and they vanished from the assembly. At their cries, all the people of Israel who were around them fled, saying, "The earth may swallow us too." And fire came forth from the Lord, and consumed the 250 men who were offering the incense. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, to remove the censers from the flames, and to scatter the coals far away, because the censers are holy. As for the censers of those who sinned at the cost of their own lives, hammer them into sheets to overlay the altar, for these were presented before the Lord, and so have become holy. They will serve as a sign to the Israelites." So Eleazar the priest took the bronze censers brought by those who had been burned up, and he had them hammered out to overlay the altar, just as the Lord commanded him through Moses. This was to be a reminder to the Israelites that no outsider who is not a descendant of Aaron should approach to offer incense before the Lord, lest he become like Korah and his followers. The next day the whole congregation of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You have killed the Lord's people." But when the congregation gathered against them, Moses and Aaron turned toward the tent of meeting, and suddenly the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared. Then Moses and Aaron went to the front of the tent of meeting, and the Lord said to Moses, "Get away from this congregation, so that I may consume them in an instant." And Moses and Aaron fell face down. Moses said to Aaron, "Take your censer, place fire from the altar in it, and add incense. Go quickly to the congregation, and make atonement for them, because wrath has come out from the Lord. The plague has begun." So Aaron took the censer as Moses had ordered, and ran into the midst of the assembly. And seeing that the plague had begun among the people, he offered the incense, and made atonement for the people. He stood between the living and the dead, and the plague was halted. But those who died from the plague numbered 14,700, in addition to those who had died on account of Korah. Then Aaron returned to Moses at the entrance to the tent of meeting, since the plague had been halted. Numbers 17. And the Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites, and take from them 12 staffs, one from the leader of each tribe. Write each man's name on his staff, and write Aaron's name on the staff of Levi, because there must be one staff for the head of each tribe. Place the staffs in the tent of meeting in front of the testimony, where I meet with you. The staff belonging to the man I choose will sprout, and I will rid myself of the constant grumbling of the Israelites against you." So Moses spoke to the Israelites, and each of their leaders gave him a staff, one for each of the leaders of their tribes, 12 staffs in all. And Aaron's staff was among them. Then Moses placed the staffs before the Lord in the tent of the testimony. The next day Moses entered the tent of the testimony, and saw that Aaron's staff, representing the house of Levi, had sprouted, put forth buds, blossomed, and produced almonds. Then Moses brought out all the staffs from the Lord's presence to all the Israelites. They saw them, and each man took his own staff. The Lord said to Moses, "Put Aaron's staff back in front of the testimony, to be kept as a sign for the rebellious, so that you may put an end to their grumbling against me, lest they die." So Moses did as the Lord had commanded him. Then the Israelites declared to Moses, "Look, we are perishing. We are lost. We are all lost. Anyone who comes near the tabernacle of the Lord will die. Are we all going to perish?" Numbers 18. So the Lord said to Aaron, "You and your sons and your father's house must bear the iniquity involving the sanctuary. and you and your sons alone must bear the iniquity involving your priesthood. But bring with you also your brothers from the tribe of Levi, the tribe of your father, that they may join you and assist you and your sons before the tent of the testimony. And they shall attend to your duties and to all the duties of the tent, but they must not come near to the furnishings of the sanctuary or the altar, or both they and you will die. They are to join you and attend to the duties of the tent of meeting, doing all the work at the tent, but no outsider may come near you. And you shall attend to the duties of the sanctuary and of the altar, so that wrath may not fall on the Israelites again. Behold, I myself have selected your fellow Levites from the Israelites as a gift to you, dedicated to the Lord to perform the service for the tent of meeting. But only you and your sons shall attend to your priesthood for everything concerning the altar and what is inside the veil, and you are to perform that service. I am giving you the work of the priesthood as a gift, but any outsider who comes near the sanctuary must be put to death. Then the Lord said to Aaron, Behold, I have put you in charge of my offerings. As for all the sacred offerings of the Israelites, I have given them to you and your sons as a portion and a permanent statute. A portion of the most holy offerings reserved from the fire will be yours. From all the offerings they render to me as most holy offerings, whether grain offerings or sin offerings or guilt offerings, that part belongs to you and your sons. You are to eat it as a most holy offering, and every male may eat it. You shall regard it as holy. And this is yours as well, the offering of their gifts, along with all the wave offerings of the Israelites. I have given this to you and your sons and daughters as a permanent statute. Every ceremonially clean person in your household may eat it. I give you all the freshest olive oil, and all the finest new wine and grain that the Israelites give to the Lord as their first fruits. The first fruits of everything in their land that they bring to the Lord will belong to you. Every ceremonially clean person in your household may eat them. Every devoted thing in Israel belongs to you. The firstborn of every womb, whether man or beast, that is offered to the Lord belongs to you. But you must surely redeem every firstborn son, and every firstborn male of unclean animals. You are to pay the redemption price for a month-old male according to your valuation, 5 shekels of silver according to the sanctuary shekel, which is 20 gerahs. But you must not redeem the firstborn of an ox, a sheep, or a goat. They are holy. You are to sprinkle their blood on the altar, and burn their fat as an offering made by fire, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. And their meat belongs to you, just as the breast and right thigh of the wave offering belong to you. All the holy offerings that the Israelites present to the Lord, I give to you and to your sons and daughters as a permanent statute. It is a permanent covenant of salt before the Lord for you and your offspring. Then the Lord said to Aaron, You will have no inheritance in their land, nor will you have any portion among them. I am your portion and your inheritance among the Israelites. Behold, I have given to the Levites all the tithes in Israel as an inheritance in return for the work they do, the service of the tent of meeting. No longer may the Israelites come near to the tent of meeting, or they will incur guilt and die. The Levites are to perform the work of the tent of meeting, and they must bear their iniquity. This is a permanent statute for the generations to come. The Levites will not receive an inheritance among the Israelites. For I have given to the Levites as their inheritance the tithe that the Israelites present to the Lord as a contribution. That is why I told them that they would not receive an inheritance among the Israelites. And the Lord instructed Moses, Speak to the Levites, and tell them, When you receive from the Israelites the tithe that I have given you as your inheritance, you must present part of it as an offering to the Lord, a tithe of the tithe. Your offering will be reckoned to you as grain from the threshing floor or juice from the winepress. So you are to present an offering to the Lord from all the tithes you receive from the Israelites, and from these you are to give the Lord's offering to Aaron the priest. You must present the offering due the Lord from all the best of every gift, the holiest part of it. Therefore say to the Levites, when you have presented the best part, it will be reckoned to you as the produce of the threshing floor or winepress. And you and your households may eat the rest of it anywhere. It is the compensation for your work at the tent of meeting. Once you have presented the best part of it, you will not incur guilt because of it. But you must not defile the sacred offerings of the Israelites, or else you will die. Numbers 19. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, This is the statute of the law that the Lord has commanded. Instruct the Israelites to bring you an unblemished red heifer that has no defect and has never been placed under a yoke. Give it to Eleazar the priest, and he will have it brought outside the camp and slaughtered in his presence. Eleazar the priest is to take some of the blood on his finger and sprinkle it 7 times toward the front of the tent of meeting. Then the heifer must be burned in his sight. Its hide, its flesh, and its blood are to be burned, along with its dung. The priest is to take cedar wood, hyssop, and scarlet wool, and throw them onto the burning heifer. Then the priest must wash his clothes and bathe his body in water. After that he may enter the camp, but he will be ceremonially unclean until evening. The one who burned the heifer must also wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and he too will be ceremonially unclean until evening. Then a man who is ceremonially clean is to gather up the ashes of the heifer and store them in a ceremonially clean place outside the camp. They must be kept by the congregation of Israel for preparing the water of purification. This is for purification from sin. The man who has gathered up the ashes of the heifer must also wash his clothes, and he will be ceremonially unclean until evening. This is a permanent statute for the Israelites and for the foreigner residing among them. Whoever touches any dead body will be unclean for 7 days. He must purify himself with the water on the 3rd day and on the 7th day. Then he will be clean. But if he does not purify himself on the 3rd and 7th days, he will not be clean. Anyone who touches a human corpse and fails to purify himself defiles the tabernacle of the Lord. That person must be cut off from Israel. He remains unclean, because the water of purification has not been sprinkled on him, and his uncleanness is still on him. This is the law when a person dies in a tent. Everyone who enters the tent, and everyone already in the tent, will be unclean for 7 days, and any open container without a lid fastened on it is unclean. Anyone in the open field who touches someone who has been killed by the sword or has died of natural causes, or anyone who touches a human bone or a grave, will be unclean for 7 days. For the purification of the unclean person, take some of the ashes of the burnt sin offering, put them in a jar, and pour fresh water over them. Then a man who is ceremonially clean is to take some hyssop, dip it in the water, and sprinkle the tent, all the furnishings, and the people who were there. He is also to sprinkle the one who touched a bone, a grave, or a person who has died or been slain. The man who is ceremonially clean is to sprinkle the unclean person on the 3rd day and on the 7th day. After he purifies the unclean person on the 7th day, the one being cleansed must wash his clothes and bathe in water, and that evening he will be clean. But if a person who is unclean does not purify himself, he will be cut off from the assembly, because he has defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. The water of purification has not been sprinkled on him. He is unclean. This is a permanent statute for the people. The one who sprinkles the water of purification must wash his clothes, and whoever touches the water of purification will be unclean until evening. Anything the unclean person touches will become unclean, and anyone who touches it will be unclean until evening. Numbers 20. In the first month the whole congregation of Israel entered the wilderness of Zin, and stayed in Kadesh. There Miriam died and was buried. Now there was no water for the congregation, so they gathered against Moses and Aaron. The people quarreled with Moses and said, "If only we had perished with our brothers before the Lord! Why have you brought the Lord's assembly into this wilderness for us and our livestock to die here? Why have you led us up out of Egypt to bring us to this wretched place? It is not a place of grain, figs, vines, or pomegranates, and there is no water to drink." Then Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly to the entrance to the tent of meeting. They fell face down, and the glory of the Lord appeared to them. And the Lord said to Moses, "Take the staff and assemble the congregation. You and your brother Aaron are to speak to the rock while they watch, and it will pour out its water. You will bring out water from the rock and provide drink for the congregation and their livestock." So Moses took the staff from the Lord's presence just as he had been commanded. Then Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly in front of the rock, and Moses said to them, "Listen now, you rebels. Must we bring you water out of this rock?" Then Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice with his staff, so that a great amount of water gushed out, and the congregation and their livestock were able to drink. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust me to show my holiness in the sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this assembly into the land that I have given them." These were the waters of Meribah, where the Israelites quarreled with the Lord, and he showed his holiness among them. From Kadesh Moses sent messengers to tell the king of Edom, "This is what your brother Israel says. You know all the hardship that has befallen us, how our fathers went down to Egypt, where we lived many years. The Egyptians mistreated us and our fathers, and when we cried out to the Lord, he heard our voice, sent an angel, and brought us out of Egypt. Now look, we are in Kadesh, a city on the edge of your territory. Please let us pass through your land. We will not cut through any field or vineyard, or drink water from any well. We will stay on the king's highway. We will not turn to the right or to the left until we have passed through your territory." But Edom answered, "You may not travel through our land, or we will come out and confront you with the sword." "We will stay on the main road," the Israelites replied, "and if we or our herds drink your water, we will pay for it. There will be no problem, only let us pass through on foot." But Edom insisted, "You may not pass through." And they came out to confront the Israelites with a large army and a strong hand. So Edom refused to allow Israel to pass through their territory, and Israel turned away from them. After they had set out from Kadesh, the whole congregation of Israel came to Mount Hor. And at Mount Hor, near the border of the land of Edom, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Aaron will be gathered to his people. He will not enter the land that I have given the Israelites, because both of you rebelled against my command at the waters of Meribah. Take Aaron and his son Eleazar, and bring them up Mount Hor. Remove Aaron's priestly garments, and put them on his son Eleazar. Aaron will be gathered to his people, and will die there." So Moses did as the Lord had commanded, and they climbed Mount Hor in the sight of the whole congregation. After Moses had removed Aaron's garments and put them on his son Eleazar, Aaron died there on top of the mountain. Then Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain. When the whole congregation saw that Aaron had died, the entire house of Israel mourned for him 30 days. Numbers 21. When the Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in the Negev, heard that Israel was coming along the road to Atharim, he attacked Israel and captured some prisoners. So Israel made a vow to the Lord, "If you will deliver this people into our hands, we will devote their cities to destruction." And the Lord heard Israel's plea and delivered up the Canaanites. Israel devoted them and their cities to destruction, so they named the place Hormah. Then they set out from Mount Hor along the route to the Red Sea, in order to bypass the land of Edom. But the people grew impatient on the journey, and spoke against God and against Moses. "Why have you led us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is no bread or water, and we detest this wretched food." So the Lord sent venomous snakes among the people, and many of the Israelites were bitten and died. Then the people came to Moses and said, "We have sinned by speaking against the Lord and against you. Intercede with the Lord, so he will take the snakes away from us." So Moses interceded for the people. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Make a fiery serpent and mount it on a pole. When anyone who is bitten looks at it, he will live." So Moses made a bronze snake and mounted it on a pole. If anyone who was bitten looked at the bronze snake, he would live. Then the Israelites set out and camped at Oboth. They journeyed from Oboth and camped at Abarim in the wilderness opposite Moab to the east. From there they set out and camped in the valley of Zered. From there they moved on and camped on the other side of the Arnon, in the wilderness that extends into the Amorite territory. Now the Arnon is the border between the Moabites and the Amorites. Therefore it is stated in the book of the wars of the Lord, "Waheb and Suphah and the wadis of the Arnon, even the slopes of the wadis that extend to the site of Ar, and lie along the border of Moab." From there they went on to Beer, the well where the Lord said to Moses, "Gather the people so that I may give them water." Then Israel sang this song, "Spring up, O well, all of you sing to it. The princes dug the well, the nobles of the people hollowed it out with their scepters and with their staffs." From the wilderness the Israelites went on to Mattanah, and from Mattanah to Nahaliel, and from Nahaliel to Bamoth, and from Bamoth to the valley in Moab, where the top of Pisgah overlooks the wasteland. Then Israel sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites, saying, "Let us pass through your land. We will not cut through any field or vineyard, or drink water from any well. We will stay on the king's highway until we have passed through your territory." But Sihon would not let Israel pass through his territory. Instead, he gathered his whole army and went out to confront Israel in the wilderness. When he came to Jahaz, he fought against Israel. And Israel put him to the sword and took possession of his land, from the Arnon to the Jabbok, but only up to the border of the Ammonites, because it was fortified. Israel captured all the cities of the Amorites and occupied them, including Heshbon and all its villages. Heshbon was the city of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab and taken all his land as far as the Arnon. That is why the poets say, "Come to Heshbon, let it be rebuilt. Let the city of Sihon be restored. For a fire went out from Heshbon, a blaze from the city of Sihon. It consumed Ar of Moab, the rulers of Arnon's heights. Woe to you, O Moab! You are destroyed, O people of Chemosh. He gave up his sons as refugees, and his daughters into captivity to Sihon, king of the Amorites. But we have overthrown them. Heshbon is destroyed as far as Dibon. We demolished them as far as Nophah, which reaches to Meribah." So Israel lived in the land of the Amorites. After Moses had sent spies to Jazer, Israel captured its villages and drove out the Amorites who were there. Then they turned and went up the road to Bashan, and Og, king of Bashan, and his whole army came out to meet them in battle at Edrei. But the Lord said to Moses, "Do not fear him, for I have delivered him into your hand, along with all his people and his land. Do to him as you did to Sihon, king of the Amorites, who lived in Heshbon. So they struck down Og, along with his sons and his whole army, until no remnant was left, and they took possession of his land. Numbers 22. Then the Israelites traveled on and camped in the plains of Moab near the Jordan, across from Jericho. Now Balak son of Zippor saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites, and Moab was terrified of the people because they were numerous. Indeed, Moab dreaded the Israelites. So the Moabites said to the elders of Midian, "This horde will devour everything around us, as an ox licks up the grass of the field." Since Balak son of Zippor was king of Moab at that time, he sent messengers to Balaam son of Beor at Pethor, which is by the Euphrates, in the land of his people. "Behold, a people has come out of Egypt," said Balak. "They cover the face of the land, and have settled next to me. So please come now, and put a curse on this people, because they are too mighty for me. Perhaps I may be able to defeat them, and drive them out of the land. For I know that those you bless are blessed, and those you curse are cursed." The elders of Moab and Midian departed with the fees for divination in hand. They came to Balaam and relayed to him the words of Balak. "Spend the night here," Balaam replied, "and I will give you the answer that the Lord speaks to me." So the princes of Moab stayed with Balaam. Then God came to Balaam and asked, "Who are these men with you?" And Balaam said to God, "Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab, sent me this message. Behold, a people has come out of Egypt, and they cover the face of the land. Now come and put a curse on them for me. Perhaps I may be able to fight against them and drive them away." But God said to Balaam, "Do not go with them. You are not to curse this people, for they are blessed." So Balaam got up the next morning and said to Balak's princes, "Go back to your homeland, because the Lord has refused to let me go with you." And the princes of Moab arose, returned to Balak, and said, "Balaam refused to come with us." Then Balak sent other princes, more numerous and more distinguished than the first messengers. They came to Balaam and said, "This is what Balak son of Zippor says. Please let nothing hinder you from coming to me, for I will honor you richly and do whatever you say. So please come and put a curse on this people for me." But Balaam replied to the servants of Balak, "If Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not do anything, small or great, to go beyond the command of the Lord my God. So now, please stay here overnight, as the others did, that I may find out what else the Lord has to tell me." That night God came to Balaam and said, "Since these men have come to summon you, get up and go with them, but you must only do what I tell you." So in the morning Balaam got up, saddled his donkey, and went with the princes of Moab. Then God's anger was kindled because Balaam was going along, and the angel of the Lord stood in the road to oppose him. Balaam was riding his donkey, and his 2 servants were with him. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword in his hand, she turned off the path and went into a field. So Balaam beat her to return her to the path. Then the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow passage between 2 vineyards, with walls on either side. And the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, and pressed herself against the wall, crushing Balaam's foot against it. So he beat her once again. And the angel of the Lord moved on ahead, and stood in a narrow place where there was no room to turn to the right or left. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she lay down under Balaam, and he became furious and beat her with his staff. Then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you, that you have beaten me these 3 times?" Balaam answered the donkey, "You have made a fool of me. If I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you right now." But the donkey said to Balaam, Am I not the donkey you have ridden all your life until today? Have I ever treated you this way before?" "No," he replied. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword in his hand. And Balaam bowed low and fell face down. The angel of the Lord asked him, "Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? Behold, I have come out to oppose you, because your way is perverse before me. The donkey saw me and turned away from me these 3 times. If she had not turned away, then by now I would surely have killed you, and let her live." "I have sinned," Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, "for I did not realize that you were standing in the road to confront me. And now, if this is displeasing in your sight, I will go back home." But the angel of the Lord said to Balaam, "Go with the men, but you are to speak only what I tell you." So Balaam went with the princes of Balak. When Balak heard that Balaam was coming, he went out to meet him at the Moabite city on the Arnon border, at the edge of his territory. And he said to Balaam, "Did I not send you an urgent summons? Why did you not come to me? Am I really not able to richly reward you?" "See, I have come to you," Balaam replied, "but can I say just anything? I must speak only the word that God puts in my mouth." So Balaam accompanied Balak, and they came to Kiriath-Huzoth. Balak sacrificed cattle and sheep, and he gave portions to Balaam and the princes who were with him. The next morning Balak took Balaam and brought him up to Bamoth-baal. From there he could see the outskirts of the camp of the people. Numbers 23. Then Balaam said to Balak, "Build for me 7 altars here, and prepare for me 7 bulls and 7 rams." So Balak did as Balaam had instructed, and Balak and Balaam offered a bull and a ram on each altar. "Stay here by your burnt offering while I am gone," Balaam said to Balak. "Perhaps the Lord will meet with me, and whatever he reveals to me, I will tell you." So Balaam went off to a barren height, and God met with him. "I have set up 7 altars," Balaam said, "and on each altar I have offered a bull and a ram." Then the Lord put a message in Balaam's mouth, saying, "Return to Balak and give him this message." So he returned to Balak, who was standing there beside his burnt offering with all the princes of Moab. And Balaam lifted up an oracle, saying, "Balak brought me from Aram, the king of Moab, from the mountains of the east. Come," he said, "put a curse on Jacob for me. Come and denounce Israel." "How can I curse what God has not cursed? How can I denounce what the Lord has not denounced? For I see them from atop the rocky cliffs, and I watch them from the hills. Behold, a people dwelling apart, not reckoning themselves among the nations. Who can count the dust of Jacob, or number even a fourth of Israel? Let me die the death of the righteous. Let my end be like theirs." Then Balak said to Balaam, "What have you done to me? I brought you here to curse my enemies, and behold, you have only blessed them." But Balaam replied, "Should I not speak exactly what the Lord puts in my mouth?" Then Balak said to him, "Please come with me to another place where you can see them. You will only see the outskirts of their camp, not all of them, and from there curse them for me." So Balak took him to the field of Zophim, to the top of Pisgah, where he built 7 altars and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Balaam said to Balak, "Stay here beside your burnt offering, while I meet the Lord over there." And the Lord met with Balaam, and put a message in his mouth, saying, "Return to Balak, and speak what I tell you." So he returned to Balak, who was standing there by his burnt offering with the princes of Moab. "What did the Lord say?" Balak asked. Then Balaam lifted up an oracle, saying, "Arise, O Balak, and listen. Give ear to me, O son of Zippor. God is not a man that he should lie, or a son of man that he should change his mind. Does he speak and not act? Does he promise and not fulfill? I have indeed received a command to bless. He has blessed, and I cannot change it. He considers no disaster for Jacob. He sees no trouble for Israel. The Lord their God is with them, and the shout of the king is among them. God brought them out of Egypt with strength like a wild ox. For there is no spell against Jacob, and no divination against Israel. It will now be said of Jacob and Israel, "What great things God has done! Behold, the people rise like a lioness. They rouse themselves like a lion, not resting until they devour their prey and drink the blood of the slain." Now Balak said to Balaam, "Then neither curse them at all, nor bless them at all." But Balaam replied, "Did I not tell you that whatever the Lord says, I must do?" "Please come," said Balak, "I will take you to another place. Perhaps it will please God that you curse them for me from there." And Balak took Balaam to the top of Peor, which overlooks the wasteland. Then Balaam said, "Build for me 7 altars here, and prepare for me 7 bulls and 7 rams." So Balak did as Balaam had instructed, and he offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Numbers 24. And when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord to bless Israel, he did not resort to sorcery as on previous occasions, but he turned his face toward the wilderness. When Balaam looked up and saw Israel encamped tribe by tribe, the Spirit of God came upon him, and he lifted up an oracle, saying, "This is the prophecy of Balaam, son of Beor, the prophecy of a man whose eyes are open, the prophecy of one who hears the words of God, who sees a vision from the Almighty, who bows down with eyes wide open. How lovely are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel! They spread out like palm groves, like gardens beside a stream, like aloes the Lord has planted, like cedars beside the waters. Water will flow from his buckets, and his seed will have abundant water. His king will be greater than Agag, and his kingdom will be exalted. God brought him out of Egypt with strength like a wild ox, to devour hostile nations and crush their bones, to pierce them with arrows. He crouches, he lies down like a lioness, who dares to rouse him? Blessed are those who bless you, and cursed are those who curse you." Then Balak's anger burned against Balaam, and he struck his hands together and said to Balaam, "I summoned you to curse my enemies, but behold, you have persisted in blessing them these 3 times. Therefore flee at once to your home. I said I would richly reward you, but instead the Lord has denied your reward." Balaam answered Balak, "Did I not already tell the messengers you sent me that even if Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not do anything of my own accord, good or bad, to go beyond the command of the Lord? I will speak whatever the Lord says. Now I am going back to my people. But come, let me warn you what this people will do to your people in the days to come." Then Balaam lifted up an oracle, saying, "This is the prophecy of Balaam son of Beor, the prophecy of a man whose eyes are open, the prophecy of one who hears the words of God, who has knowledge from the Most High, who sees a vision from the Almighty, who bows down with eyes wide open. I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star will come forth from Jacob, and a scepter will arise from Israel. He will crush the skulls of Moab, and strike down all the sons of Sheth. Edom will become a possession, as will Seir his enemy. But Israel will perform with valor. A ruler will come from Jacob, and destroy the survivors of the city." Then Balaam saw Amalek, and lifted up an oracle, saying, "Amalek was first among the nations, but his end is destruction." Next he saw the Kenites, and lifted up an oracle, saying, "Your dwelling place is secure, and your nest is set in a cliff. yet Cain will be destroyed when Asher takes you captive. Once more Balaam lifted up an oracle, saying, Ah, who can live unless God has ordained it? Ships will come from the coasts of Cyprus. They will subdue Asher and Eber, but they too will perish forever. Then Balaam arose and returned to his homeland, and Balak also went on his way. Numbers 25. While Israel was staying in Shittim, the men began to indulge in sexual immorality with the daughters of Moab, who also invited them to the sacrifices for their gods. And the people ate and bowed down to these gods. So Israel joined in worshipping Baal of Peor, and the anger of the Lord burned against them. Then the Lord said to Moses, Take all the leaders of the people, and execute them in broad daylight before the Lord, so that his fierce anger may turn away from Israel. So Moses told the judges of Israel, Each of you must kill all of his men who have joined in worshipping Baal of Peor. Just then an Israelite man brought to his family a Midianite woman in the sight of Moses and the whole congregation of Israel, while they were weeping at the entrance to the tent of meeting. On seeing this, Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, got up from the assembly, took a spear in his hand, followed the Israelite into his tent, and drove the spear through both of them, through the Israelite and on through the belly of the woman. So the plague against the Israelites was halted, but those who died in the plague numbered 24,000. Then the Lord said to Moses, Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, has turned my wrath away from the Israelites, for he was zealous for my sake among them, so that I did not consume the Israelites in my zeal. Declare therefore that I am granting him my covenant of peace. It will be a covenant of permanent priesthood for him and his descendants, because he was zealous for his God, and made atonement for the Israelites. The name of the Israelite who was slain with the Midianite woman was Zimri, son of Salu, the leader of a Simeonite family. And the name of the slain Midianite woman was Cozbi, the daughter of Zur, a tribal chief of a Midianite family. And the Lord said to Moses, Attack the Midianites and strike them dead, for they assailed you deceitfully when they seduced you in the matter of Peor and their sister Cozbi, the daughter of the Midianite leader, the woman who was killed on the day the plague came because of Peor. Numbers 26. After the plague had ended, the Lord said to Moses and Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, Take a census of the whole congregation of Israel by the houses of their fathers, all those 20 years of age or older who can serve in the army of Israel. So on the plains of Moab by the Jordan, across from Jericho, Moses and Eleazar the priest issued the instruction, Take a census of the men 20 years of age or older, as the Lord has commanded Moses. And these were the Israelites who came out of the land of Egypt. Reuben was the firstborn of Israel. These were the descendants of Reuben. The Hanokite clan from Hanok, the Paluite clan from Palu, the Hezronite clan from Hezron, and the Carmite clan from Carmi. These were the clans of Reuben, and their registration numbered 43,730. Now the son of Palu was Eliab, and the sons of Eliab were Nemuel, Dathan, and Abiram. It was Dathan and Abiram, chosen by the congregation, who fought against Moses and Aaron with the followers of Korah, who rebelled against the Lord. And the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them along with Korah, whose followers died when the fire consumed 250 men. They serve as a warning sign. However, the line of Korah did not die out. These were the descendants of Simeon by their clans. The Nemuelite clan from Nemuel, the Jaminite clan from Jamin, the Jachinite clan from Jachin, the Zerahite clan from Zerah, and the Shaulite clan from Shaul. These were the clans of Simeon, and there were 22,200 men. These were the descendants of Gad by their clans. the Zephonite clan from Zephon, the Haggite clan from Haggai, the Shunite clan from Shuni, the Oznite clan from Ozni, the Erite clan from Eri, the Arodite clan from Arod, and the Aralite clan from Arali. These were the clans of Gad, and their registration numbered 40,500. The sons of Judah were and Onan, but they died in the land of Canaan. These were the descendants of Judah by their clans. The Shilonite clan from Shelah, the Perezite clan from Perez, and the Zerahite clan from Zerah. And these were the descendants of Perez, the Hezronite clan from Hezron, and the Hamelite clan from Hamel. These were the clans of Judah, and their registration numbered 76,500. These were the descendants of Issachar by their clans, the Tolaite clan from Tola, the Punite clan from Puvah, the Jashubite clan from Jashub, and the Shimronite clan from Shimron. These were the clans of Issachar, and their registration numbered 64,300. These were the descendants of Zebulun by their clans, the Seredite clan from Sered, the Elonite clan from Elon, and the Jalielite clan from Jaliel. These were the clans of Zebulun, and their registration numbered 60,500. The descendants of Joseph included the clans of Manasseh and Ephraim. These were the descendants of Manasseh, the Macherite clan from Macher, the father of Gilead, and the Gileadite clan from Gilead. These were the descendants of Gilead, the Iezerite clan from Iezer, the Helekite clan from Helek, the Asrielite clan from Asriel, the Shechemite clan from Shechem, the Shemidaite clan from Shemida, and the Hepherite clan from Hepher. Now Zelophehad, son of Hepher, had no sons, but only daughters. The names of his daughters were Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. These were the clans of Manasseh, and their registration numbered 52,700. These were the descendants of Ephraim by their clans, the Shuthelahite clan from Shuthelah, the Becherite clan from Becher, and the Tahanite clan from Tahan. And the descendants of Shuthelah were the Eranite clan from Eran. These were the clans of Ephraim, and their registration numbered 32,500. These clans were the descendants of Joseph. These were the descendants of Benjamin by their clans, the Belahite clan from Bela, the Ashbelite clan from Ashbel, the Ahiramite clan from Ahiram, the Shuphamite clan from Shupham, and the Huphamite clan from Hupham. And the descendants of Bela from Ard and Naaman were the Ardite clan from Ard, and the Naamite clan from Naaman. These were the clans of Benjamin, and their registration numbered 45,600. These were the descendants of Dan by their clans, the Shuhamite clan from Shuham. These were the clans of Dan. All of them were Shuhamite clans, and their registration numbered 64,400. These were the descendants of Asher by their clans, the Imnite clan from Imnah, the Ishvite clan from Ishvi, and the Beriahite clan from Beriah. And these were the descendants of Beriah, the Heberite clan from Heber, and the Malchielite clan from Malchiel. And the name of Asher's daughter was Serah. These were the clans of Asher, and their registration numbered 53,400. These were the descendants of Naphtali by their clans, the Jazielite clan from Jaziel, the Gunite clan from Guni, the Jezerite clan from Jezer, and the Shilamite clan from Shillam. These were the clans of Naphtali, and their registration numbered 45,400. These men of Israel numbered 601,730 in all. Then the Lord said to Moses, "The land is to be divided among the tribes as an inheritance, according to the number of names. Increase the inheritance for a large tribe, and decrease it for a small one. Each tribe is to receive its inheritance according to the number of those registered." Indeed, the land must be divided by lot. They shall receive their inheritance according to the names of the tribes of their fathers. Each inheritance is to be divided by lot among the larger and smaller tribes. Now these were the Levites numbered by their clans: the Gershonite clan from Gershon, the Kohathite clan from Kohath, and the Merarite clan from Merari. These were the families of the Levites: the Libnite clan, the Hebronite clan, the Malite clan, the Mushite clan, and the Korahite clan. Now Kohath was the father of Amram, and Amram's wife was named Jochebed. She was also a daughter of Levi, born to Levi in Egypt. To Amram she bore Aaron, Moses, and their sister Miriam. Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar were born to Aaron. But Nadab and Abihu died when they offered unauthorized fire before the Lord. The registration of the Levites totaled 23,000, every male a month old or more. They were not numbered among the other Israelites, because no inheritance was given to them among the Israelites. These were the ones numbered by Moses and Eleazar the priest, when they counted the Israelites on the plains of Moab by the Jordan, across from Jericho. Among all these, however, there was not one who had been numbered by Moses and Aaron the priest when they counted the Israelites in the wilderness of Sinai. For the Lord had told them that they would surely die in the wilderness. Not one was left, except Caleb son of Jephunneh and Joshua son of Nun. Numbers 27. Now the daughters of Zelophehad, son of Hepher, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, belonged to the clans of Manasseh, son of Joseph. These were the names of his daughters: Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. They approached the entrance to the tent of meeting, stood before Moses, Eleazar the priest, the leaders, and the whole congregation, and said, "Our father died in the wilderness, but he was not among the followers of Korah who gathered together against the Lord. Instead, he died because of his own sin, and he had no sons. Why should the name of our father disappear from his clan because he had no sons? Give us property among our father's brothers." So Moses brought their case before the Lord, and the Lord answered him, "The daughters of Zelophehad speak correctly. You certainly must give them property as an inheritance among their father's brothers, and transfer their father's inheritance to them. Furthermore, you shall say to the Israelites, if a man dies and leaves no son, you are to transfer his inheritance to his daughter. If he has no daughter, give his inheritance to his brothers. If he has no brothers, give his inheritance to his father's brothers. And if his father has no brothers, give his inheritance to the next of kin from his clan, that he may take possession of it. This is to be a statutory ordinance for the Israelites, as the Lord has commanded Moses." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go up this mountain of the Abarim range, and see the land that I have given the Israelites. After you have seen it, you too will be gathered to your people, as your brother Aaron was. For when the congregation contended in the wilderness of Zin, both of you rebelled against my command to show my holiness in their sight regarding the waters. Those were the waters of Meribah in Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin." So Moses appealed to the Lord. "May the Lord, the God of the spirits of all flesh, appoint a man over the congregation, who will go out and come in before them, and who will lead them out and bring them in, so that the congregation of the Lord will not be like sheep without a shepherd." And the Lord replied to Moses, "Take Joshua son of Nun, a man with the Spirit in him, and lay your hands on him. Have him stand before Eleazar the priest and the whole congregation, and commission him in their sight. Confer on him some of your authority, so that the whole congregation of Israel will obey him. He shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who will seek counsel for him before the Lord by the judgment of the Urim. At his command, he and all the Israelites with him, the entire congregation, will go out and come in. Moses did as the Lord had commanded him. He took Joshua, had him stand before Eleazar the priest and the whole congregation, and laid his hands on him and commissioned him, as the Lord had instructed through Moses. Numbers 28. Then the Lord said to Moses, Command the Israelites, and say to them, See that you present to me at its appointed time the food for my offerings by fire, as a pleasing aroma to me. And tell them that this is the offering made by fire you are to present to the Lord, as a regular burnt offering each day. 2 unblemished year-old male lambs. Offer 1 lamb in the morning and the other at twilight, along with 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour as a grain offering, mixed with 1/4 hin of oil from pressed olives. This is a regular burnt offering established at Mount Sinai as a pleasing aroma, an offering made by fire to the Lord. The drink offering accompanying each lamb shall be 1/4 hin. Pour out the offering of fermented drink to the Lord in the sanctuary area, and offer the 2nd lamb at twilight, with the same grain offering and drink offering as in the morning. It is an offering made by fire, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. On the Sabbath day, present 2 unblemished year-old male lambs, accompanied by a grain offering of 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil, as well as a drink offering. This is the burnt offering for every Sabbath, in addition to the regular burnt offering and its drink offering. At the beginning of every month, you are to present to the Lord a burnt offering of 2 young bulls, 1 ram, and 7 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, along with 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering with each bull, 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering with the ram, and 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering with each lamb. This is a burnt offering, a pleasing aroma, an offering made by fire to the Lord. Their drink offerings shall be 1/2 hin of wine with each bull, 1/3 of a hin with the ram, and 1/4 hin with each lamb. This is the monthly burnt offering to be made at each new moon throughout the year. In addition to the regular burnt offering with its drink offering, 1 male goat is to be presented to the Lord as a sin offering. The 14th day of the 1st month is the Lord's Passover. On the 15th day of this month there shall be a feast. For 7 days unleavened bread is to be eaten. On the 1st day there is to be a sacred assembly. You must not do any regular work. Present to the Lord an offering made by fire, a burnt offering of 2 young bulls, 1 ram, and 7 male lambs a year old, all unblemished. The grain offering shall consist of fine flour mixed with oil. Offer 3/10 of an ephah with each bull, 2/10 of an ephah with the ram, and 1/10 of an ephah with each of the 7 lambs. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering to make atonement for you. You are to present these in addition to the regular morning burnt offering. Offer the same food each day for 7 days as an offering made by fire, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. It is to be offered with its drink offering and the regular burnt offering. On the 7th day you shall hold a sacred assembly. You must not do any regular work. On the day of first fruits, when you present an offering of new grain to the Lord during the Feast of Weeks, you are to hold a sacred assembly. You must not do any regular work. Present a burnt offering of 2 young bulls, 1 ram, and 7 male lambs a year old as a pleasing aroma to the Lord, together with their grain offerings of fine flour mixed with oil, 3/10 of an ephah with each bull, 2/10 of an ephah with the ram, and 1/10 of an ephah with each of the 7 lambs. Include 1 male goat to make atonement for you. Offer them with their drink offerings in addition to the regular burnt offering and its grain offering. The animals must be unblemished. Numbers 29. On the first day of the 7th month, you are to hold a sacred assembly, and you must not do any regular work. This will be a day for you to sound the trumpets. As a pleasing aroma to the Lord, you are to present a burnt offering of 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 7 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, together with their grain offerings of fine flour mixed with oil, 3/10 of an ephah with the bull, 2/10 of an ephah with the ram, and 1/10 of an ephah with each of the 7 male lambs. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering to make atonement for you. These are in addition to the monthly and daily burnt offerings with their prescribed grain offerings and drink offerings. They are a pleasing aroma, an offering made by fire to the Lord. On the 10th day of this 7th month, you are to hold a sacred assembly, and you shall humble yourselves. You must not do any work. Present as a pleasing aroma to the Lord a burnt offering of 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 7 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, together with their grain offerings of fine flour mixed with oil, 3/10 of an ephah with the bull, 2/10 of an ephah with the ram, and 1/10 of an ephah with each of the 7 lambs. Include 1 male goat for a sin offering, in addition to the sin offering of atonement, and the regular burnt offering with its grain offering and drink offerings. On the 15th day of the 7th month, you are to hold a sacred assembly. You must not do any regular work, and you shall observe a feast to the Lord for 7 days. As a pleasing aroma to the Lord, you are to present an offering made by fire, a burnt offering of 13 young bulls, 2 rams, and 14 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, along with the grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil with each of the 13 bulls, 2/10 of an ephah with each of the 2 rams, and 1/10 of an ephah with each of the 14 lambs. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering, in addition to the regular burnt offering with its grain offering and drink offering. On the 2nd day, you are to present 12 young bulls, 2 rams, and 14 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, along with the grain and drink offerings for the bulls, rams, and lambs, according to the number prescribed. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering, in addition to the regular burnt offering with its grain offering and drink offering. On the 3rd day you are to present 11 bulls, 2 rams, and 14 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, along with the grain and drink offerings for the bulls, rams, and lambs, according to the number prescribed. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering, in addition to the regular burnt offering with its grain offering and drink offering. On the 4th day you are to present 10 bulls, 2 rams, and 14 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, along with the grain and drink offerings for the bulls, rams, and lambs, according to the number prescribed. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering, in addition to the regular burnt offering with its grain offering and drink offering. On the 5th day you are to present 9 bulls, 2 rams, and 14 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, along with the grain and drink offerings for the bulls, rams, and lambs, according to the number prescribed. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering, in addition to the regular burnt offering with its grain offering and drink offering. On the 6th day you are to present 8 bulls, 2 rams, and 14 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, along with the grain and drink offerings for the bulls, rams, and lambs, according to the number prescribed. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering, in addition to the regular burnt offering with its grain offering and drink offering. On the seventh day you are to present 7 bulls, 2 rams, and 14 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, along with the grain and drink offerings for the bulls, rams, and lambs, according to the number prescribed. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering, in addition to the regular burnt offering with its grain offering and drink offering. On the 8th day you are to hold a solemn assembly. You must not do any regular work. As a pleasing aroma to the Lord, you are to present an offering made by fire, a burnt offering of 1 bull, 1 ram, and 7 male lambs a year old, all unblemished, along with the grain and drink offerings for the bulls, rams, and lambs, according to the number prescribed. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering, in addition to the regular burnt offering with its grain offering and drink offering. You are to present these offerings to the Lord at your appointed times, in addition to your vow and free will offerings, whether burnt offerings, grain offerings, drink offerings, or peace offerings. So Moses spoke all this to the Israelites, just as the Lord had commanded him. Numbers 30. Then Moses said to the heads of the tribes of Israel, "This is what the Lord has commanded. If a man makes a vow to the Lord, or swears an oath to obligate himself by a pledge, he must not break his word. He must do everything he has promised. And if a woman in her father's house during her youth makes a vow to the Lord, or obligates herself by a pledge, and her father hears about her vow or pledge, but says nothing to her, then all the vows or pledges by which she has bound herself shall stand. But if her father prohibits her on the day he hears about it, then none of the vows or pledges by which she has bound herself shall stand. The Lord will absolve her because her father has prohibited her. If a woman marries while under a vow or rash promise by which she has bound herself, and her husband hears of it, but says nothing to her on that day, then the vows or pledges by which she has bound herself shall stand. But if her husband prohibits her when he hears of it, he nullifies the vow that binds her, or the rash promise she has made, and the Lord will absolve her. Every vow a widow or divorced woman pledges to fulfill is binding on her. If a woman in her husband's house has made a vow or put herself under an obligation with an oath, and her husband hears of it but says nothing to her and does not prohibit her, then all the vows or pledges by which she has bound herself shall stand. But if her husband nullifies them on the day he hears of them, then nothing that came from her lips, whether her vows or pledges, shall stand. Her husband has nullified them, and the Lord will absolve her. Her husband may confirm or nullify any vow or any sworn pledge to deny herself. But if her husband says nothing to her from day to day, then he confirms all the vows and pledges that bind her. He has confirmed them because he said nothing to her on the day he heard about them. But if he nullifies them after he hears of them, then he will bear her iniquity. These are the statutes that the Lord commanded Moses concerning the relationship between a man and his wife, and between a father and a young daughter still in his home. Numbers 31. And the Lord said to Moses, "Take vengeance on the Midianites for the Israelites. After that, you will be gathered to your people." So Moses told the people, "Arm some of your men for war, that they may go against the Midianites and execute the Lord's vengeance on them. Send into battle 1,000 men from each tribe of Israel." So 1,000 men were recruited from each tribe of Israel, 12,000 armed for war. And Moses sent the 1,000 from each tribe into battle, along with Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, who took with him the vessels of the sanctuary and the trumpets for signaling. Then they waged war against Midian, as the Lord had commanded Moses, and they killed every male. Among the slain were Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, the 5 kings of Midian. They also killed Balaam son of Beor with the sword. The Israelites captured the Midianite women and their children, and they plundered all their herds, flocks, and goods. Then they burned all the cities where the Midianites had lived, as well as all their encampments, and carried away all the plunder and spoils, both people and animals. They brought the captives, spoils, and plunder to Moses, to Eleazar the priest, and to the congregation of Israel at the camp on the plains of Moab by the Jordan, across from Jericho. And Moses, Eleazar the priest, and all the leaders of the congregation went to meet them outside the camp. But Moses was angry with the officers of the army, the commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds, who were returning from the battle. "Have you spared all the women?" he asked them. "Look, these women caused the sons of Israel, through the counsel of Balaam, to turn unfaithfully against the Lord at Peor, so that the plague struck the congregation of the Lord. So now kill all the boys, as well as every woman who has had relations with a man, but spare for yourselves every girl who has never had relations with a man. All of you who have killed a person or touched the dead are to remain outside the camp for 7 days. On the 3rd day and the 7th day you are to purify both yourselves and your captives, and purify every garment and leather good, everything made of goat's hair, and every article of wood." Then Eleazar the priest said to the soldiers who had gone into battle, "This is the statute of the law which the Lord has commanded Moses. Only the gold, silver, bronze, iron, tin, and lead, everything that can withstand the fire, must be put through the fire, and it will be clean. But it must still be purified with the water of purification. And everything that cannot withstand the fire must pass through the water. On the 7th day you are to wash your clothes, and you will be clean. After that you may enter the camp." The Lord said to Moses, "You and Eleazar the priest, and the family heads of the congregation are to take account of what was captured, both of man and beast. Then divide the captives between the troops who went out to battle and the rest of the congregation. Set aside a tribute for the Lord from what belongs to the soldiers who went into battle, 1 out of every 500, whether persons, cattle, donkeys, or sheep. Take it from their half and give it to Eleazar the priest as an offering to the Lord. From the Israelites' half, take 1 out of every 50, whether persons, cattle, donkeys, sheep, or other animals, and give them to the Levites, who keep charge of the tabernacle of the Lord." So Moses and Eleazar the priest did as the Lord had commanded Moses, and this plunder remained from the spoils the soldiers had taken: 675,000 sheep, 72,000 cattle, 61,000 donkeys, and 32,000 women who had not slept with a man. This was the half portion for those who had gone to war: 337,500 sheep, including a tribute to the Lord of 675, 36,000 cattle, including a tribute to the Lord of 72, 30,500 donkeys, including a tribute to the Lord of 61, and 16,000 people, including a tribute to the Lord of 32. Moses gave the tribute to Eleazar the priest as an offering for the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. From the Israelites' half, which Moses had set apart from the men who had gone to war, this half belonged to the congregation: 337,500 sheep, 36,000 cattle, 30,500 donkeys, and 16,000 people. From the Israelites' half, Moses took 1 out of every 50 persons and animals, and gave them to the Levites, who kept charge of the tabernacle of the Lord, as the Lord had commanded him. Then the officers who were over the units of the army, the commanders of thousands and of hundreds, approached Moses, and said, "Your servants have counted the soldiers under our command, and not one of us is missing. So we have brought to the Lord an offering of the gold articles each man acquired, armlets, bracelets, rings, earrings, and necklaces, to make atonement for ourselves before the Lord. So Moses and Eleazar the priest received from them all the articles made out of gold, all the gold that the commanders of thousands and of hundreds presented as an offering to the Lord, weighed 16,750 shekels. Each of the soldiers had taken plunder for himself. And Moses and Eleazar the priest received the gold from the commanders of thousands and of hundreds, and brought it into the tent of meeting, as a memorial for the Israelites before the Lord. Numbers 32. Now the Reubenites and Gadites, who had very large herds and flocks, surveyed the lands of Jazer and Gilead, and they saw that the region was suitable for livestock. So the Gadites and Reubenites came to Moses, Eleazar the priest, and the leaders of the congregation, and said, Ataroth, Dibon, Jazer, Nimrah, Heshbon, Elealeh, Sebam, Nebo, and Beon, which the Lord conquered before the congregation of Israel, are suitable for livestock, and your servants have livestock. If we have found favor in your sight, they said, let this land be given to your servants as a possession. Do not make us cross the Jordan. But Moses asked the Gadites and Reubenites, Shall your brothers go to war while you sit here? Why are you discouraging the Israelites from crossing into the land that the Lord has given them? This is what your fathers did when I sent them from Kadesh Barnea to inspect the land. For when your fathers went up to the valley of Eshcol and saw the land, they discouraged the Israelites from entering the land that the Lord had given them. So the anger of the Lord was kindled that day, and he swore an oath, saying, Because they did not follow me wholeheartedly, not one of the men 20 years of age or older who came out of Egypt will see the land that I swore to give Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not one, except Caleb son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, and Joshua son of Nun, because they did follow the Lord wholeheartedly. The anger of the Lord burned against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness 40 years, until the whole generation who had done evil in his sight was gone. Now behold, you, a brood of sinners, has risen up in place of your fathers to further stoke the burning anger of the Lord against Israel. For if you turn away from following him, he will once again leave this people in the wilderness, and you will be the cause of their destruction. Then the Gadites and Reubenites approached Moses and said, We want to build sheepfolds here for our livestock and cities for our little ones. But we will arm ourselves and be ready to go ahead of the Israelites until we have brought them into their place. Meanwhile, our little ones will remain in the fortified cities for protection from the inhabitants of the land. We will not return to our homes until every Israelite has taken possession of his inheritance. Yet we will not have an inheritance with them across the Jordan and beyond, because our inheritance has come to us on the east side of the Jordan. Moses replied, If you will do this, if you will arm yourselves before the Lord for battle, and if every one of your armed men crosses the Jordan before the Lord, until he has driven his enemies out before him, then when the land is subdued before the Lord, you may return and be free of obligation to the Lord and to Israel. And this land will belong to you as a possession before the Lord. But if you do not do this, you will certainly sin against the Lord, and be assured that your sin will find you out. Build cities for your little ones and folds for your flocks, but do what you have promised. The Gadites and Reubenites said to Moses, Your servants will do just as our Lord commands. Our children, our wives, our livestock, and all our animals will remain here in the cities of Gilead. But your servants are equipped for war, and every man will cross over to the battle before the Lord, just as our Lord says. So Moses gave orders about them to Eleazar the priest, to Joshua son of Nun, and to the family leaders of the tribes of Israel. And Moses said to them, If the Gadites and Reubenites cross the Jordan with you, with every man armed for battle before the Lord, and the land is subdued before you, then you are to give them the land of Gilead as a possession. But if they do not arm themselves and go across with you, then they must accept their possession among you in the land of Canaan. The Gadites and Reubenites replied, As the Lord has spoken to your servants, so we will do. We will cross over into the land of Canaan armed before the Lord, that we may have our inheritance on this side of the Jordan. So Moses gave to the Gadites, to the Reubenites, and to the half-tribe of Manasseh, son of Joseph, the kingdom of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, the land including its cities and the territory surrounding them. And the Gadites built up Dibon, Ataroth, Aroer, Atroth-Shophan, Jazer, Jochebah, Beth-Nimrah, and Beth-Haran as fortified cities, and they built folds for their flocks. The Reubenites built up Heshbon, Elealeh, Kiriathaim, as well as Nebo and Baal-Meon, whose names were changed, and Sibmah, and they renamed the cities they rebuilt. The descendants of Machir, son of Manasseh, went to Gilead, captured it, and drove out the Amorites who were there. So Moses gave Gilead to the clan of Machir, son of Manasseh, and they settled there. Jair, a descendant of Manasseh, went and captured their villages, and called them Havoth-Jair. And Nobah went and captured Kenath and its villages, and called it Nobah, after his own name. Numbers 33. These are the journeys of the Israelites when they came out of the land of Egypt by their divisions, under the leadership of Moses and Aaron. At the Lord's command, Moses recorded the stages of their journey. These are the stages listed by their starting points. On the 15th day of the first month, on the day after the Passover, the Israelites set out from Ramesses. They marched out defiantly, in full view of all the Egyptians, who were burying all their firstborn, whom the Lord had struck down among them. For the Lord had executed judgment against their gods. The Israelites set out from Ramesses and camped at Succoth. They set out from Succoth and camped at Etham, on the edge of the wilderness. They set out from Etham and turned back to Pi-hahiroth, opposite Baal-zephon, and they camped near Migdol. They set out from Pi-hahiroth and crossed through the sea into the wilderness, and they journeyed 3 days into the wilderness of Etham, and camped at Marah. They set out from Marah and came to Elim, where there were 12 springs and 70 palm trees, and they camped there. They set out from Elim and camped by the Red Sea. They set out from the Red Sea and camped in the desert of Sin. They set out from the desert of Sin and camped at Dophkah. They set out from Dophkah and camped at Alush. They set out from Alush and camped at Rephidim, where there was no water for the people to drink. They set out from Rephidim and camped in the wilderness of Sinai. They set out from the wilderness of Sinai and camped at Kibroth-Hattaavah. They set out from Kibroth-Hattaavah and camped at Hazeroth. They set out from Hazeroth and camped at Lithmah. They set out from Rithmah and camped at Rimmon-Perez. They set out from Rimmon-Perez and camped at Libnah. They set out from Libnah and camped at Rissah. They set out from Rissah and camped at Kehelatha. They set out from Kehelatha and camped at Mount Shepher. They set out from Mount Shepher and camped at Harada. They set out from Harada and camped at Makheloth. They set out from Makheloth and camped at Tahath. They set out from Tahath and camped at Terah. They set out from Terah and camped at Mithkah. They set out from Mithkah and camped at Hashmonah. They set out from Hashmonah and camped at Moseroth. They set out from Moseroth and camped at Bene-Jaakan. They set out from Bene-Jaakan and camped at Hor-Haggidgad. They set out from Hor-Haggidgad and camped at Jotbathah. They set out from Jotbathah and camped at Abronah. They set out from Abrona and camped at Ezion-Geber. They set out from Ezion-Geber and camped at Kadesh in the wilderness of Zin. They set out from Kadesh and camped at Mount Hor, on the outskirts of the land of Edom. At the Lord's command, Aaron the priest climbed Mount Hor and died there on the first day of the 5th month, in the 40th year after the Israelites had come out of the land of Egypt. Aaron was 123 years old when he died on Mount Hor. Now the Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in the Negev, in the land of Canaan, heard that the Israelites were coming. And the Israelites set out from Mount Hor and camped at Zalmonah. They set out from Zalmonah and camped at Punon. They set out from Punon and camped at Oboth. They set out from Oboth and camped at Aya-Abarim on the border of Moab. They set out from Ayim and camped at Dibon-Gad. They set out from Dibon-Gad and camped at Almon-Diblathaim. They set out from Almon-Diblathaim and camped in the mountains of Abarim, facing Nebo. They set out from the mountains of Abarim and camped on the plains of Moab by the Jordan, across from Jericho. And there, on the plains of Moab, they camped by the Jordan, from Beth-Jeshimoth to Abel-Shittim. On the plains of Moab, by the Jordan, across from Jericho, the Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites, and tell them, when you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, you must drive out before you all the inhabitants of the land, destroy all their carved images and cast idols, and demolish all their high places. You are to take possession of the land and settle in it, for I have given you the land to possess. And you are to divide the land by lot, according to your clans. Give a larger inheritance to a larger clan, and a smaller inheritance to a smaller one. Whatever falls to each one by lot will be his. You will receive an inheritance according to the tribes of your fathers. But if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land before you, those you allow to remain will become barbs in your eyes and thorns in your sides. They will harass you in the land where you settle, and then I will do to you what I had planned to do to them." Numbers 34. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Command the Israelites, and say to them, when you enter the land of Canaan, it will be allotted to you as an inheritance with these boundaries. Your southern border will extend from the wilderness of Zin along the border of Edom. On the east, your southern border will run from the end of the Salt Sea, cross south of the ascent of Akrabim, continue to Zin, and go south of Kadesh Barnea. Then it will go on to Hazar Adar, and proceed to Asmon, where it will turn from Asmon, join the brook of Egypt, and end at the sea. Your western border will be the coastline of the Great Sea. This will be your boundary on the west. Your northern border will run from the Great Sea directly to Mount Hor, and from Mount Hor to Lebo-Hamath, then extend to Zedad, continue to Ziphron, and end at Hazar-Enan. This will be your boundary on the north. And your eastern border will run straight from Hazar-Enan to Shephem, then go down from Shephem to Riblah on the east side of Ain, and continue along the slopes east of the Sea of Kinnereth. Then the border will go down along the Jordan and end at the Salt Sea. This will be your land, defined by its borders on all sides. So Moses commanded the Israelites, "Apportion this land by lot as an inheritance. The Lord has commanded that it be given to the 9½ tribes. For the tribes of the Reubenites and Gadites, along with the half-tribe of Manasseh, have already received their inheritance. These 2½ tribes have received their inheritance across the Jordan from Jericho toward the sunrise." Then the Lord said to Moses, "These are the names of the men who are to assign the land as an inheritance for you: Eleazar the priest and Joshua son of Nun. Appoint one leader from each tribe to distribute the land. These are their names: Caleb son of Jephunneh from the tribe of Judah, Shemuel son of Ammihud from the tribe of Simeon, Elidad, son of Kislon, from the tribe of Benjamin. Buckai, son of Joglai, a leader from the tribe of Dan. Haniel, son of Ephod, a leader from the tribe of Manasseh, son of Joseph. Kemuel, son of Shiftan, a leader from the tribe of Ephraim. Elizaphan, son of Parnak, a leader from the tribe of Zebulun. Paltiel, son of Azan, a leader from the tribe of Issachar. Ahihud, son of Shalomai, a leader from the tribe of Asher. And Pedahel, son of Ammihud, a leader from the tribe of Naphtali. These are the ones whom the Lord commanded to apportion the inheritance to the Israelites in the land of Canaan. Numbers 35. Again the Lord spoke to Moses on the plains of Moab by the Jordan, across from Jericho. Command the Israelites to give, from the inheritance they will possess, cities for the Levites to live in, and pasture lands around the cities. The cities will be for them to live in, and the pasture lands will be for their herds, their flocks, and all their other livestock. The pasture lands around the cities you are to give the Levites will extend 1,000 cubits from the wall on every side. You are also to measure 2,000 cubits outside the city on the east, 2,000 on the south, 2,000 on the west, and 2,000 on the north, with the city in the center. These areas will serve as larger pasture lands for the cities. 6 of the cities you give the Levites are to be appointed as cities of refuge, to which a manslayer may flee. In addition to these, give the Levites 42 other cities. The total number of cities you give the Levites will be 48, with their corresponding pasture lands. The cities that you apportion from the territory of the Israelites should be given to the Levites in proportion to the inheritance of each tribe, more from a larger tribe and less from a smaller one. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and tell them, when you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, designate cities to serve as your cities of refuge, so that a person who kills someone unintentionally may flee there. You are to have these cities as a refuge from the avenger, so that the manslayer will not die until he stands trial before the assembly. The cities you select will be your 6 cities of refuge. Select 3 cities across the Jordan and 3 in the land of Canaan as cities of refuge. These 6 cities will serve as a refuge for the Israelites and for the foreigner or stranger among them, so that anyone who kills a person unintentionally may flee there. If, however, anyone strikes a person with an iron object and kills him, he is a murderer. The murderer must surely be put to death. Or if anyone has in his hand a stone of deadly size, and he strikes and kills another, he is a murderer. The murderer must surely be put to death. If anyone has in his hand a deadly object of wood, and he strikes and kills another, he is a murderer. The murderer must surely be put to death. The avenger of blood is to put the murderer to death. When he finds him, he is to kill him. Likewise, if anyone maliciously pushes another or intentionally throws an object at him and kills him, or if in hostility he strikes him with his hand and he dies, the one who struck him must surely be put to death. He is a murderer. When the avenger of blood finds the murderer, he is to kill him. But if anyone pushes a person suddenly without hostility, or throws an object at him unintentionally, or without looking drops a heavy stone that kills him, but he was not an enemy and did not intend to harm him, then the congregation must judge between the slayer and the avenger of blood according to these ordinances. The assembly is to protect the manslayer from the hand of the avenger of blood. Then the assembly will return him to the city of refuge to which he fled, and he must live there until the death of the high priest, who was anointed with the holy oil. But if the manslayer ever goes outside the limits of the city of refuge to which he fled, and the avenger of blood finds him outside of his city of refuge and kills him, then the avenger will not be guilty of bloodshed, because the manslayer must remain in his city of refuge until the death of the high priest. Only after the death of the high priest may he return to the land he owns. This will be a statutory ordinance for you for the generations to come, wherever you live. If anyone kills a person, the murderer is to be put to death on the testimony of the witnesses. But no one is to be put to death based on the testimony of a lone witness. You are not to accept a ransom for the life of a murderer who deserves to die. He must surely be put to death. Nor should you accept a ransom for the person who flees to a city of refuge, and allow him to return and live on his own land before the death of the high priest. Do not pollute the land where you live, for bloodshed pollutes the land, and no atonement can be made for the land on which the blood is shed, except by the blood of the one who shed it. Do not defile the land where you live and where I dwell, for I, the Lord, dwell among the Israelites. Numbers 36. Now the family heads of the clan of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, one of the clans of Joseph, approached Moses and the leaders who were the heads of the Israelite families, and addressed them, saying, When the Lord commanded my Lord to give the land as an inheritance to the Israelites by lot, he also commanded him to give the inheritance of our brother Zelophehad to his daughters. But if they marry any of the men from the other tribes of Israel, their inheritance will be withdrawn from the portion of our fathers and added to the tribe into which they marry. So our allotted inheritance would be taken away. And when the Jubilee for the Israelites comes, their inheritance will be added to the tribe into which they marry, and taken away from the tribe of our fathers. So at the word of the Lord, Moses commanded the Israelites. The tribe of the sons of Joseph speaks correctly. This is what the Lord has commanded concerning the daughters of Zelophehad. They may marry anyone they please, provided they marry within a clan of the tribe of their father. No inheritance in Israel may be transferred from tribe to tribe, because each of the Israelites is to retain the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. Every daughter who possesses an inheritance from any Israelite tribe must marry within a clan of the tribe of her father, so that every Israelite will possess the inheritance of his fathers. No inheritance may be transferred from one tribe to another, for each tribe of Israel must retain its inheritance. So the daughters of Zelophehad did as the Lord had commanded Moses. Mahlah, Tirzah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Noah, the daughters of Zelophehad, were married to cousins on their father's side. They married within the clans of the descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph, and their inheritance remained within the tribe of their father's clan. These are the commandments and ordinances that the Lord gave the Israelites through Moses on the plains of Moab by the Jordan, across from Jericho.